as the, what's his name again? Oh my God, what's his name? What's his name? What's his name? What's his name? The Sheik, at the Comedy Store. Oh my God, I had it in my head. Anyway, we might figure it out in a minute. Or what is his name? I'll think of it. Anyway, he used to say, "What is up, mother bitches?"
Well, hello, boys and girls.
Hi.
What a wonderful day it is today in our money-based economy. Well, sit back and relax and get ready for the guy who's about to ruin everything.
I'm puzzled. Are you really seriously suggesting that Jesus Christ was a mushroom?
Wait, Jesus was a mushroom, Roberts.
Yes. You are dealing with a secret cult, a secret society.
Welcome to Waning Interest.
Still can't think of it. Welcome to the Waning Interest Podcast, number uno, ceto, cinco, right? Or zeto, or set, zero, what? November 26, 2022, the Babbling Dabbler, the smallest click on the internet. The Pinball Brain, your favorite machine. It's like a diary or a book, but not as stale or coherent. From a more mentally challenged Forrest Gump. Or if Mikey and Mouth from the Goonies played a lot of bareback leapfrog, and then a few months later, I squirted out. Ooh, somebody else has a drink. You see that? Do you hear that sound? It's Foley. It's called Foley in movies. Or sink. We're at a sink. There, I just said it. You heard it set down, and then it... Shut the hell up. Hey, guys, look. I got a guest. Former coworker and not former friend, still friend. I mean, if you're talking about Facebook,
We'll find out.
he's got some surprises. Mr. Tracy Carracedo, how is you, sir?
You know, Wayne, I don't know what I'm more impressed by, that opening monologue or that Brady Bunch wood paneling behind you. Nothing cries out Maine like the den in the Brady house.
All right.
Oh, well, get my own laugh track. How about that? How are you? It's good to see you. Look at you. You haven't aged a bit.
Well, the sauna is wonderful. That's why I haven't aged, because of the sauna.
The sauna, yes, the sauna.
The sauna and having Jim right behind me. You know, keeping an eye, making sure that I don't go doing any China White.
I mean, how long has it been? 20-something years?
It's been long.
At least.
We worked together in Miami at WIOD.
Mid-90s, right?
You started in 95, right? Didn't you start you started a few months after me in 90. I started late 94, November 94. Mid-November 94 is when I started.
Well, didn't you
right?
came over on the
Yes.
WIOD side of the merger, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I was over on what was then Paxson, eventually Clear Channel. So I was actually started in August of 93, but I think you and I first met in that upon that merger. Which, wouldn't you say it was 94, 95?
Oh, the merger was 96. So you mean you were in radio beforehand?
Yeah, for a few years.
So you came. Oh, I thought you started. So you didn't work at 79th Street?
No. I mean, I did for about a week or two during the transition, but no, I was always on the Paxton side.
Oh, because my memory had it. Okay, because my memory was that you were. I'm seeing you in that hallway and in that on 79th Street. So that's where I thought you started. I didn't realize it was such a short time.
Yeah.
Because that was when, I got the surprise. I thought I was going to. I didn't think I was going to have a job anymore. I didn't think I had one anymore. When I got called in and I knew about the merger, and I didn't know what was happening. And I got called into Nichols' office, the program director, Steve Nichol, and I thought I was getting fired. And then he's like, "You were a Ron and Ron fan, right?" Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when you interviewed me, I talked about Ron. Yeah, well, they're going to be our new morning show. Oh shit, that's what I've heard. Cool. Yeah, no shit. So I'm waiting for him to go. Yeah, but you don't have a gig. And he goes, "Oh, so they're also looking for a producer, a new producer." And Thought you might want to fly over and, audition. What? I had this. It was to talk about fucking dropping to the floor. I wanted to fall on the floor. Anyway, that's not where I wanted to go. I didn't want to go out the wrong stuff. But yeah. Anyway, but I still had a job. I didn't get fired, so it was it was a different thing that I thought was going to happen. But anyway.
So what were you doing then before the merger? What was your job?
I was utility guy. I helped out Rick and Suds. I helped out Phil a little bit, and I helped a little bit George, a lot of stuff. And weekends, I did sports talk on the weekends, produced that. What was it, Saturday or Sunday, or both sometimes? A little bit of everything. Which is it's always what I've been. I've never had something that, well, I'd have, but not in, it was always something like that. It was always like a utility thing. Everybody, George had Neil,
right. Adam
had Rick and Suds, all those guys, but I was like, I had them all. Because I was a slut, mister. Do you remember that? Anyway, sorry. That was stupid. 79th Street. So you were, okay. And then, so it was Hollywood mostly where, when we moved up there, yeah.
Yeah, so what my entry into that company right out of college, I went to the University of Miami.
Right. Big Canes fan.
That's right. And I think right now they're getting beaten 21-0.
I don't know.
I'm keeping an eye on that game in my peripheral vision here, but
that's what it is. I was going to ask earlier.
There's not much to watch, and don't worry, I had the volume down. But I started in August of '93, driving the Love 94 van, and did basically work between that and 940 Winds and that cluster station. And then right when the merger happened, I don't know if you remember, there was a young lady named Sarah Shanley who was supposed to come over, and she was supposed to be the marketing director for WIOD. And then I guess she had an about face at the last minute, decided to stay with, what was the name of that other station? That Coast?
Yeah, Coast and Hot 105.
Yeah. So there was an opening, and suddenly my boss, Rana called me and said, "Hey, listen, I know that you are studying to get your master's degree in sports management, and if you take the promotion director job at WIOD, they have the Dolphins, and they maybe even still had a Hurricane football. I can't remember, but the point being, like, great, I'll do it." So it looked like I was new to the company, but I really wasn't. I'd been in the company, just new to the station, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. So you had that weird. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, those
must
were
have felt out of place.
Well, those were interesting times, because if you remember, we all moved into that building in Hollywood that we shared with that ad agency.
Marketing Magic.
Marketing Magic, which what do we nickname them? Marketing Tragic. And I think another radio station was in that building long before us. So it had the makings of being a radio station, but it looked like it had been haunted for a few years. Remember?
Yes.
And it was just one of those things where we kind of felt like we were on our own on an island, but we all kind of came together, and a lot of fun. I look back on those days fondly, and there was no boring days. I'll tell you that right now.
No, so much going on.
Yeah.
What did you said something just a second ago that reminded me? It reminded me of something.
Marketing Tragic.
Yeah, and then there was one of the owners. Was it Bob Rose?
Bob Rose, yeah, Bob Rose and Jack Mark.
Jack Mark and Bob Rose.
Some guy with two first names, Jack Mark.
Yeah, that was it. I can't remember which one it was. One of the first things I ever did, voiceover wise, I was in a studio, mic was on, and it was on a 2-track. It was still this was one back that studio was not what we have, nowhere close to what we have today. So it was a little 2-track thing, and I had it rolling. And Kim was in there, the lady that does the logs, and she was in there. "Oh, can you do this?" It was just a tag for something. So I was just trying to record this 10-second thing. And I kept flubbing it, and I just let the tape roll. And then all of a sudden, as I'm hitting it, and all of a sudden the door opens. And, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, it's the lights on. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you recording? No, damn, man. Door shuts. And then we didn't realize that I said something. I didn't realize what I said. And And then I finally I stopped the tape, and then we rewound it to redo it because Kim was laughing. I'm like, what? What'd I say? So we played it back, and I had said, when the door shut, I went, I'm going to go out there and break that fucking guy's neck. So you got to cart that up for Neil.
Yeah.
Bleep out the F, and he actually used to use it. I want to go out there and break that fucking guy's neck.
Now, you had to, you mentioned Neil Rogers, and I can't let this go by without saying, so many fun things working with you. I didn't really know much about his story, his aura before I started working there, but I remember I made the mistake. This is back before email. So you used to type memos when you wanted to communicate, and you put a memo in people's boxes, And I remember there was a problem. There was a problem where we were doing like the weekly Don Shula show or Jimmy Johnson show, and part of the staff was eating too much food, and we were exceeding the weekly tab we had across the street at Dave & Buster's. Does this ring a bell?
Yeah.
And so I remember I typed out a memo. I said, dear staff, please do not exceed our tab at Dave & Buster's. If you feel like you need to order something and we're about to go over our limit, please see me, blah, 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 And I'm typing out a memo to, from, regarding, and I put in everyone's box. The minute I get back to my desk, I turn on the radio, and Neil's already talking about it on the air. And Peter Bolger, our good friend Peter Bolger, came over and I remember he came in the doorway and he pointed at me and he goes, aha, lesson learned. If you're going to type a memo, be ready to go on the air. And I remember Neil had a field day about who was going over their tab at Dave & Buster's. And I think Stephen J. Gray was the culprit or somebody. Somebody was ordering.
Jesus, you just dropping names left and right.
I'm taking no prisoners. Stephen J. Gray, I think, was ordering steak when we were all ordering salads, But Stephen knows I love him, and he's my favorite Dolphin producer. So, Stephen, if you're watching.
Stephen J. Gray, cracker, by the way, for the whips. He's a cracker. And but I didn't know that. Because when I got my gig at IOD, because I knew we were in the three stations were in the same building, so I wanted to know the other two. So I I didn't listen to Hot 105 before that, so I started listening to Hot 105. I heard it, Stephen J. Gray. I thought he was a 6'4" black dude.
100%.
He's this dorky fucking white dude.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you though, Stephen
now he's
J.
a
Gray,
pilot, motherfucker. Dude, I got so many stories from that crazy guy with his fucking technology that he was doing. That guy was Gadget Guy.
Let me tell you something.
Probably a better name for that. Sorry.
Stephen was so awesome that when we went to do a live remote at a Paradise Casino in the Bahamas, I think we did like once a month.
My roommate went there. My roommate went with you. He brought me back a whole bunch of what was the Sky Vodka? Was it Sky Vodka? What was the promotion?
I don't know. It was so long ago. Brain cells.
No. The one with the swan on it, I think. I don't remember. I had vodka for months. It was great because he didn't drink. So
we would go over and do a live remote, and in these remotes, as you probably know, whenever you go to a destination, some of the business owners are clamoring to try to get on the air, right, so that they can promote their product, service, or store. So these people would just line up, and they're like, hey, can you guys interview me for a few minutes? Stephen was such a cool customer. He would go ahead and during a commercial break, pretend to be interviewing them, making them think they were on the air, when in reality, he was just potting down the board during a break. And it was so seamless. You never knew. And they never knew. They were never on the air. I mean, that's how good Stephen was. So he definitely, he knew how to handle those live remotes.
Absolutely. He knew how to handle a lot of things. Dude, here's a story. I don't think I've ever told this one on the podcast. Maybe I have. It's been a long time. I don't remember. Stephen was also one of the engineers. He was a jock on Hot 105.
Yeah,
he was one of the engineers. He was one of the fill-in hosts on IOD for things, and then he ended up going on to do. Now he does Toys for Boys, which wasn't him originally. It was right Boys for Toys, Toys for Boys.
Is that show still happening? Toys for Boys?
I don't know. I know it was on for a long time. I know that.
Best name of a radio show ever, by the way.
Absolutely. Just for people to get them to tune in to think that they're going to be hearing about dildos. Oh, wait. Oh, this is about computers?
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing,
gadgets?
Good thing we haven't started the live show yet, huh?
Oh, shit. That's right. But
Steven's awesome.
The story I was going to tell, I got a couple, but the one I got to tell you real quick. Him, and then it was Sam, who was one of the other engineers. They grabbed me one day. I was leaving work, and I wasn't going home. I wasn't going to do anything. They asked me if you want to come with us. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, you want to watch this? If you want to come with us? Come on, let's get in the van. Get in the van. So we get in one of the. It wasn't the IOD van. It was an unmarked van. But anyway, they had some kind of tech to where they had something in the van where they could drop into a certain FM frequency, like I don't know what anyway, we went to not too far from the station. We went to a place where it was a fairly a black neighborhood, and he pulled up in front of this like a Radio Shack sort of thing, right out front, and we go me and two other people to go in and turn every stereo on, blast it, and put it on a certain frequency, like, I don't know what the fuck, 98.1, I don't know what the fuck it was. And then give us, then boom, to get ready. And as soon as we did that, all of a sudden, Steven from the van with the fucking, like a CB thing, he's talking to everybody, he's freaking out in the store going, what the fuck? And I'm just, oh my God, is this really happening? And then they did one thing where they remember across the street from the Hollywood building there was the place where you could do the doom buggy stuff and the go-karts. I remember what the hell the place was called. They showed me a video once where they went over there and they had a jammer to where if you start fucking around in those doom buggies bouncing around, they had a thing to where they could shut you down and kick you out.
Oh, no kidding.
Well, they had a second jammer to jam that was out in the parking lot, and that friend also, the big Mike guy, his name was Mike, he was a big dude, like a tree, man, and he was filming from back there. No, he was the one in the thing, because when he got out, they all got scared because he was so big. I think it was Steven filming or Sam. They were filming with the jammer, so you could see this whole thing, and you could see the guy trying to shut him down because he was being a dick, running around the track, and he's trying to shut, and it won't work, and they're all looking at each other, what? Because they're back in the parking lot going, ding, 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 ding. It was fucking, wow, this is so amazing. Anyway, there's your 10 minutes, Steven.
No, I got to say one more cool story about Stephen J. Gray. So,
like I said, 12.
Yeah. Stephen, again, he never ceased to surprise you, and I remember
I just thought of another story.
I remember we were at that same...
14
minutes on Stephen J. Gray. We were at that same casino doing a live room. I want to say the name of the casino in Freeport was like the Paradise Island Casino.
I think you're right.
Not important. We're up in the sports book at the counter, and who walks up? Then Luther Campbell from Two Live Crew. And I think Two Live Crew may have still been together then. I'm not sure.
Luke Skywalker.
And Stephen all of a sudden gives me a little gentle push, said, hey, move out of the way. I'm going to go talk to my friend Luke. And I'm like, yeah, right. And he walks up there, and the way Luke reacted, you would have thought Stephen J. Gray was the Prince of England. I mean, I guess they had a very long relationship, and this guy idolized Stephen.
That wasn't a sorry, go ahead. Everybody knows what I was thinking to say.
Stephen, I guess, used to be Luke's engineer when the Two Live Crew was first starting out.
No,
like in the early days, like when like they basically would hope to get paid by a nightclub and then run for their lives, and Stephen would be the one driving the getaway van. I mean, that's how long ago they had done it. And again, I was like, wow, Luther Campbell. It was like it just amazed me. And
that's
another
what you just did to me, dude. I don't remember hearing that before.
Another great Stephen J. Gray story. In fact, have you had Stephen as a guest?
No.
I mean, I think you got to get him booked, because this guy probably has hours and hours of great stories.
No. I'm kidding. No. Yes. No, he'd be welcome on the show. But he'd probably do something to fuck with it, though, because he's a crazy cunt.
Oh, yeah, he is crazy. I remember, again, going through customs at that airport, coming back, and, they say, in customs, be very serious. Don't crack jokes. Don't make eye contact with the customs agent. All of a sudden, Stephen, at the top of his lungs, goes, rectum? I hardly knew him.
It damn near killed him.
So,
when Remember when no, wait. No, you weren't there yet then. You were there yet when it started. Because you know how every market, what happened there? Did I blip?
A little bit, but I think
Yeah.
you're good. You're good.
Every market has an amateur hour thing where a fan can do something to be able to come in and sit there for an hour and do the breaks, but the jock really runs the board and everything, but they sit at a microphone. They, it sounds like they're the DJ. And then, so Steve Nickel decided to do that on IOD, but as a talk show. So for some people got an hour to come in and just sit there for an hour and do a show. But they made me the producer without actually asking me, just all of a sudden announced it. What? It'd be nice to be talked to about this before. I'm just given the fucking gig, because I had to go through, people would mail in cassette tapes, and I'd have to listen to this shit and go, all right, man, whatever, and go through it. And it was cool, but the best part was I could put on other people. I myself did an hour, like the 5th or 6th one, I did it myself. Steven did one. A couple other people from the building, I put them on. But I had to go through. Anyway, the best one was my roommate wanted to do one. I'm like, you? Well, okay. But he was the promotions guy before you, I think, at that point. So, all right. So I set him up we're going to do it. And he's got a few days to get ready, whatever. Steven and Sam come to me and go, dude, so David's doing the show this weekend, huh? Okay. All right. All right. So this is what we're going to do. We have this remote control thing. We have this setup to where, like when you're spraying pesticides or whatever, those little bottles. We got one of those. We're gonna put it full of water, and we're gonna set it up underneath the studio desk. It's gonna be pointing right at his crotch, and it has a remote control on it. We're gonna shoot it off from the control room, but also in the control room over your head, we're gonna put a video camera. That was the weirdest thing. There was 2 things that were great about this. So that's what we did. So he didn't know it, and trying to keep it from him. And I set him up in the studio, blah, blah, blah. We go live or whatever, and he's on the air. Yeah, yeah. We have a Wagner. Can you do anything? My crotch is wet. My crotch is wet. He's on the air live. My crotch is wet. And everybody, of course, you're listening to this on the radio going, what? Is he telling us he peed his pants? And we all know what he really, because Steven and Sam, they're howling behind me in the control room. They're hitting the button and just shooting at me while he's on the air getting shot in the crotch with water. Hilarious.
Now, I remember David Wagner. Was he your roommate?
Yeah, for about a year and a half. We were roommates.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we lived about, our building was like almost exactly a mile from the station.
Yeah,
so we were whenever he's still an engineer there, I think.
No kidding.
Whenever there was the tropical storms or the hurricane warnings, because we lived so close, we would stay at the station overnight just to, make sure of all the stuff to whatever we needed to do, and then they would give us $100 script to Ruth's Chris.
Wow.
So then so then we go. So then, like the next week, we'd go to dinner together. We'd use one of our $100 things. He didn't drink, so he used up $50 with his food. I just didn't eat as much food, but I used mine on Jack and Cokes. It was great. That was how I was able to eat at Ruth's Chris.
Nowadays, $100 to get you a baked potato and maybe some Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't want the potatoes anymore. I try not to eat them anymore. Just, it's not good. But
Too starchy.
So one of the funny parts about that whole thing with Wagner, when they squirted him, if I could say that, I watched the video back, the playback it was back with the VHS, the VHS recorders. This was 95, 96. And I'm watching myself because it's over my shoulder. I had no idea how much I fucking wheeled around that control room board and zings, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking at myself going, holy fuck, I look like I'm on meth.
You're like a blackjack dealer.
Even though, yeah, no shit. Like, it looks like I'm piloting the fucking Millennium Falcon. Holy shit. It was pretty wild to see because you just don't, you don't know it. You've done it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Speaking of you, of course, as a fellow actor, Mr. Carracedo,
right.
also graces theater stages like the douchebag Wayness. How many plays did you say you've done?
Yeah, so I started doing plays.
You said when you told me 2 or 3 a year, I was like, "Fuck, dude!"
I've done like about 10. Started in 2015, and then I caught the bug, just doing local community theater stuff, in front of crowds of like a couple hundred. And let's see, I've done both musicals, straight plays, Shakespearean, dinner theater. I'd say about 10 shows. Obviously, the pandemic put a halt to all that, and I have yet to dip my toe back into it. But I know that you've dabbled on stage as well, and there's nothing like it. It's a pretty cool adrenaline rush,
It is, yeah. We both have done theater and stand up
and comedy. It's right, yeah. So you
when did you first get on? When did you first start doing stand up and doing open mics?
So I started late. I started doing my brand of comedy at first back in like 03, 04, 2003, 2004 was more roasting. And I started developing a little claim to fame that the TV station I was working at back then, the local CBS affiliate here in Boston, for those of you taking notes. Whenever somebody would leave, like either retire or take another job, we'd all go to the local watering hole and kind of do a little farewell happy hour. And I don't know how, but I started developing a tradition of just in front of everyone, started doing a couple of one-liners, a few zingers, and then slowly they would start becoming a bigger thing to the point where when somebody was leaving and we're doing the happy hour, employees would come to me saying, "Hey, are you doing a roast tonight?" I say, "Yeah, no, I'm going to do a roast." And then after a while, people start saying, "Hey, you're pretty natural at this. Why don't you start doing stand-up?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, roasting is one thing. Stand-up, forget about it." But you know what? I've always been a believer in getting out of your comfort zone. And I said, there's nothing more nerve-wracking and uneasy than going up on stage. So, I started doing the open mics, all the things that you read about in terms of how to get stage time.
In Boston or?
Yeah, well, Boston and Southern New Hampshire. Manchester's got a pretty thriving comedy scene, Nashua, New Hampshire, but Boston, because I worked outside of Boston, even though I'm talking to you right now from my Southern New Hampshire home. And then, you started getting good. And, as you know, Wayne, if you've done an open mic, I know you catapulted to immediate fame. So maybe you didn't do open mic. But play the laughing drop right now, right? The problem with open mics is go ahead. Here it comes.
You didn't hear it? You didn't hear it?
I didn't hear it. Do it again.
Son.
Okay. No, actually, you know what? I did hear. I just didn't recognize it first. So this. The problem with open mics is there's really you and the other comedians on deck who don't want to laugh at you because they want to be laughed at. So it's really not the best environment, although it's good because if you do get laughs, then you've really made it. So you do that for a while, and then eventually there's that one person who comes up to you, and I know you've had this where they say, "Hey, I'm putting together a monthly showcase at the local Mexican restaurant, Sundays, 4 p.m., last Sunday of the month. How would you like to come?" And then what you do is you start creating little friendships, right? And then you go, and this is all unpaid. You go and, 5 minutes a month goes to 10 minutes to, "Hey, can you do a tight 12? And then 12 minutes becomes 16. Before you know it, you're middling doing 20 minutes. And then, you start doing that for a while. And then,
damn, dude.
And then,
I've never done 20 minutes.
I don't know if I've actually ever done 20,
well, I have,
but
I've only on the podcast.
I've been the guy who goes between the opener and the one that everyone kind of pays a little bit of money to come to see. And that's pretty cool too. It's something that, you invite your relatives, your friend, your wife. And so I did that. And, again, the pandemic kind of put a halt to all that, but, a lot of fun. Wouldn't mind getting back into it. It's very therapeutic. But between that and just doing acting on stage and community theater, it's a great artistic vehicle, as I'm sure you can relate.
Is there any stuff online do you have any video? I haven't seen you post anything on Facebook. Do you have like a YouTube or something?
So my 14 and 17-year-old daughters remind me that if you do a search, I do have stuff kicking around. Now that can be a good thing and a bad thing, because like the biggest mistake a lot of these young comedians make is they put up all their stuff right away after their first gig. Mm-hmm. In hindsight, that's not what you want to do. You want to, get it perfected.
True.
There's a
I did it.
reason why Chris Rock plays 20 club dates before he does his special. He wants to perfect it. Not me. I go up and I do my very first open mic, maybe get a few rudimentary laughs, and I'm like, oh, YouTube, here we come.
Well,
So
what I was
still,
doing, well, my plan. I put that up, but I started doing that. But I was kind of. There was a plan of it. It was that I started like of showing the progression, like every.
okay.
What was it? I was trying to put up a little chunk of every. What was it? What was I doing? 10th? Every 10th set, just a little chunk, or yeah, just little stuff. But I was doing to show progression is what the point was.
Yeah.
I knew because I'd been knew that it's not the greatest idea, but I'm like but Rogan's podcast, that didn't seem like the greatest idea. Sitting there with Brian Redband, both of them in the same camera with all this snow coming down on this weird shit 12 years ago. Hey, we're on the air. And now look at it. You never know. But that was the same thing with the podcast. Look at that's the fun about all podcasts is watching the progression.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. But in my case, going back and looking at some of the early stuff, it's painful. It really is.
Oh,
but
yeah.
To answer your question, though, Wayne, if you type in my names in YouTube, you'll get some really old stuff that's not good, some more recent stuff that I think is okay. I started venturing off into more marriage jokes. That seemed to be a pretty good comfort zone for me.
Just marriage? Was it like mostly
marriage,
family,
relationships,
familial stories?
Yeah, kids. There's no better way to write material than just to rely on some of your everyday stuff and then just kind of take it to a caricature-like level.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I'm an easy target. I have a big head, which creates that's 5 minutes of material right there. I got 2 teenage daughters. I got a wife. I have dogs that sleep in my bed. So I mean, what more?
Ew.
What more can you make jokes about?
Who was your like? Everybody has a thing where like when they first start, it doesn't matter if you just do it a few times or if you go along. Everybody has a thing to where they don't, even if they don't realize it, that they sound like their hero. And I heard it. I thought it was just because of the mushrooms. I didn't think my cadence had anything to do with Hicks. But yeah, a couple times came off stage and somebody came up like, Bill Hicks would be proud. But it's not because I'm funny. It must be the mushroom thing.
Well, wait, I do seem to remember you going on the Mike Church show impersonating one Jim Carrey. So I didn't know if that was a comedic influence of yours or not, but you had a
Jim,
impersonation.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I used to do it. Well, when I was in radio school in '94 at Miami Lakes Tech, they called me. That was when when Ace Ventura blew up, and I started doing Ace. 2 of the girls in class, they called me Jim. They didn't call me Wayne. They called me because I was always doing this, sir. Yeah. Oh, righty then. I don't practice anymore, so it's not that great. But it was pretty good. But I started doing it on the air on Ron and Ron before I did Mike Church. Before Mike used me to do it, I used to do it on Ron and Ron. That's why he asked me to do it on his show after they killed Ron and Ron. And that was one of my favorite things to do on Ron and Ron, dude, because there's nothing, as you know, what's one of the greatest feelings is to make somebody who you think is absolutely hilarious laugh, to make Neil Rogers laugh, to make Phil Hendrie laugh, to make Ron Bennington and Fez Whatley laugh. The best way I could do it was either be angry off the air. I'd have them be like, motherfucker. They just howl. We're Batman, you're so funny. Not on the air. This is off the air, being all angry. Or if the conversation turned to dogs or some kind of animal thing, I'd get this from Bennington. He'd just kind of lean and look into me in the other room and do this. And then, what's the little pooch's name? And then Fezzi's cracking. I'm like, oh my God, this feels so good. And it was so easy because I was in the other room. So I wasn't there because when you're in the room with them, it was so intimidating. Usually if I were to go in the studio, Batman, come in, let's talk about blah, blah, blah. And that's how I was in there.
Yeah.
If I was doing one of the kids, if I called in as that or called in when they, what else do I? Oh, they used to have me call in a Sling Blade. I used to do the Sling Blade thing and Mike Tyson. I was Mike Tyson. Hey guys, how you doing? Yeah, and I was trying to get this whole thing going with Mike Tyson with this phrase going with kick him in the can. And every time I say kick him in the can, Fezzi would almost fall out of his chair. Anyway,
Oh, good
It
stuff.
was better. I've not fucking practiced it in a while, so that's just a little glimpse. Look at me. I never thought that I would be Kevin. What's his name? From A Few Good Men.
Kevin Pollak.
Yes, thank you, sir.
By the way, a guy who's probably a better comedian than he is an actor, and that's saying a lot because he's got some great roles out there.
Oh, dude, A Few Good Men is. Dude,
A Few Good Men, The Usual Suspects. Come on.
were you there? No, you weren't. You weren't there because Phil was gone when you came in. He was almost. Yeah, he was gone. He was gonna go.
Yeah, Phil.
You
Part
were
of
there
the
for
whole
last couple weeks.
the whole WIOD Paxson takeover sent Phil Hendrie out of town to go work for Cox. The radio group, that is.
I got a cramp. That was perfect. Because it was real. It was right. It was correct. It's not a lie. He went to work for Cox.
In L.A., right?
In L.A. Well, he went to keep working for Cox. After outing Brian Cox.
Yes. Oh, man.
A different story. And I went and worked with him in L.A. as well. When I went out there, I worked with him again.
Somewhere tomorrow in America, there's still going to be a Brian Cox lawsuit against Phil Hendrie still lingering.
Oh, they're friends now.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they're friends now, which is funny as hell. But what did you just remind me of, though? Go back. What did you just remind me?
You were asking comedic influence. We started talking about Ron and Ron.
Phil, what was
Phil
the
Hendrie?
Thing? What?
Oh, Kevin Pollak.
Oh.
And then before you
got there, I think I've talked. I might have mentioned it on the podcast before. I don't remember. It's been a while. It's not one that I do remember. Phil and I, what did we do? Speaking of acting and stuff, I came up with because he was very, with all the creative things that he used to do and all these different things. Where one time that he told me he was on vacation. It was one of my vacation days when I ran back the best ofs. When you run it back backwards just to see what happens or whatever. I did this whole, he let me do some stuff but he did the same kind of course. He told me, but what was it? Shit. With all the stuff that he did, and all the little tiny plays that he would do with all the voices and then adding all the sound effects live, or sometimes they would pre-record them. I said to him once, I went, dude, how about you want to do a scene from a movie? I'll transcribe something and then we do it on the air. Yeah, what are you thinking? I went, how about the scene from A Few Good Men, the courtroom scene? You play Nicholson and the judge, and Kevin Bacon, and I'll do the Tom Cruise. All right, let's do it. And I went, get the fuck, really? You want to do it? Yeah. And we did it, and I had to change a couple of words. And we did it live, and I was shitting in my pants. And we had a blast. He goes, yeah, let's do it again. I went, really? You want to do it again? So what was the next one we did? Oh, so I go, how about the scene? From True Romance with the one with Dennis Hopper and Christopher Walken, the whole Sicilians respond by N-words.
Yeah. Awesome scene.
And he goes, yeah, let's do it. But I had to change, a bunch of the words. But we did it. He played, I was Hopper, he was Walken, and a few of the other lines that had a few of the other characters, which Gandolfini is in that scene, you know.
Yeah.
And then there was another one that I can't remember, but the last one, he goes, this one, I want to do this. This one we do. I said, how about the opening scene From Dusk Till Dawn, where George Clooney.
Classic.
Isn't it?
Yeah, the one's it's like 20 minutes long, right? And then after they leave.
It's like 10 minutes. It's like a nice 10-minute, almost a 10-minute open.
Yeah, and there's like a casual conversation between the liquor store clerk and
John Hawkes.
Yeah. John Hawkes, great actor. And then all of a sudden they leave, and then
I never said help us.
Tarantino and
George
Clooney come out. Yeah, that's one thing about Tarantino. He loves those long
scenes.
It's
blowing as they're conversing, and it blows up behind them, and they're still just talking like it's nothing. Nothing happened.
It reminds me of the scene in Glorious Bastards, that Christoph Waltz 10-minute monologue in the beginning. It's just like Tarantino loves to have his characters just talk and talk.
Yeah, because
I digress.
Spooky dialogue. But with that one, he goes, all right. With this one, I don't want to change any of the language. We're going to say everything, but we're going to pre-record this one. We're going to pre-record the From Dusk Till Dawn one, and you're going to make all the bleeps, and you're going to tighten it up, and put in this sound effect and that sound effect, but I'm going to add all the other sound effects, the gunfire, when I play it back live. I went, oh, all right, cool. So we went into that little tiny studio that was like a closet across from Coast. Remember Coast and that little hallway?
Yeah.
We went and recorded it in there, and then I sat in there on I sat in there. What was that old that first digital thing we ever had? I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, I put that all together, and then to sit in the control room with Andy, and I carted it up, and he played it back, and then he had all the sound effects all ready to go, and he's playing it, and he's laughing as he's listening to it, and then bam, 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 and then he starts firing shit. And just watching it was just so like, oh, I wish Steven was here now with his fucking video recorder over my shoulder. Fuck, this is so cool. Anyway,
those were the good old days, right?
Weren't they? Right before you.
I never. Yeah, exactly. I never worked with Phil Hendrie, but I hear all these stories, and obviously, you can still hear some old tapes, and he's an amazing talent. In fact, I think he kicked up in a movie recently. I was watching that movie, This Is 40, which I know is like 10 years old, and I don't know if you've seen the movie, but he has a pretty prominent cameo in that movie.
Yeah, I remember that. I haven't seen it in a while, but I think I know.
He's the one that he collides with Paul Rudd's character and then basically beats him up.
Mm-hmm. When I was with him again in 05, 06, right before he first retired from radio, at that time he was doing, do you remember when he did that? He had that, he was on that sitcom that lasted, I think it was 6 episodes. It was called Teachers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I went to one of the tapings.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that was when, that was before I became the full-time phone screener. I was already his backup engineer for Mark, but then they had a phone screener, and I was the same thing at Premiere. I was a little bit of everybody. I was Dr. Laura's backup engineer.
Dr. Laura.
I was the one for 3 years, 2.5 years or so. I was the one running Rush Limbaugh best ofs on Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, July 4th. I was the one running that tape. But I set it all up to where all I had to do, I had 3 backups, and I set it up to where I hit play on the 3 backups, and then just sit back for an hour and watch ESPN.
Nice.
So I didn't have to, and turn it down, and I just would watch, make sure the needles were moving, because I didn't want to listen to that shit.
That's awesome. The statute of limitations have expired, right?
Thank you. Oh, I was just saying that phrase earlier today.
One thing I'll say about that radio scene back in the mid-'90s, it seemed like everything all of a sudden turned on a dime. You go one day from having Rick and Suds, Neil Rogers, Hurricane Football, and then the next day it's like we're producing, and again, I love these guys, so please don't take this with disrespect, but the next day it's the Grego Show, Mike Church, Karen Kay, Brooke Daniels, who I loved working with, and I'm still friendly with her on social, but it was just a different brand of radio quickly. But you know what? In a weird way, it was a lot of fun because we had to kind of really fight hard. And I remember, some of those.
The creative people had to fight.
Yeah.
The salespeople didn't have to do much fighting. They just had to be stupid every day. Anyway, sorry, salespeople. Every fucking day.
Story for another time, right?
Every day is their first day.
Oh,
Jesus. Anyway, I don't want to get into that.
No, the sales team, though, it's funny you mentioned that.
Some of them, but very few.
No, some of them, not all of them. But, there were some that were the island of misfit toys.
There's like in the picture, in the thumbnail for this podcast, there's one that's was known as the world's biggest asshole.
Yeah.
And there's one there's one of a different color in the picture that was the coolest ever. And I'm not just saying that because he's almost blue. That's just because of the coloring of it. I mean, you know what he is. But
no, there were some good people.
Dan was the best. Dan took me to Tootsie's Tootsie's once for my birthday.
I remember that right there on the North Miami Broward line there. If I can remember my South Florida geography.
South Florida strip club, but you go to Nashville on Broadway, and it's a little music club, a well-known music club where Patsy Cline used to sing and Willie Nelson. I went in there, dude. You ever been there? You must
The
have
one-
been there. You go everywhere.
The one in Nashville?
Yeah.
No.
No, you ever been? You never been to Nashville?
I'm about to, just because my daughter's looking at colleges in the area.
MTSU?
No, Belmont, which is
Oh.
not far from Nashville. But no, I've heard great things, and I didn't know there was a Tootsie's there as well.
Tootsie's is it's a famous little tiny bar that was many people played there. Like I said, Willie Nelson, Patsy Cline, and when you go in there, it's like, oh my God, how is this place still standing? It's really it's very small.
Now,
Cool, and there's different levels.
Now, you and I have been removed from South Florida for some time, but my understanding is the one in Miami now has a different name. I think it's part of the whole Rick's Cabaret or one of those conglomerate set of larger strip clubs. I could be wrong, and if somebody here is going to call me on it, please do. But it's been a while. I haven't been in South Florida in many years. Needless to say, the adult entertainment scene. But I remember that there were several. There was Miami Gold.
Diamond Dolls.
Yeah, what was the other?
I used to be there until close of Diamond Dolls Monday nights for like 6 months.
Right by Miami High Life, where I worked, by the way, as a public address announcer for many years while working in radio.
No,
there was Club Pink Pussycat.
That's right.
Yeah, Club Pink Pussycat. Remember that?
Right. Wait! Don't step over that. You were the announcer for fucking High Life. Most people, what?
Yeah. Well, most people don't know what High Life is.
High Life.
Yes,
it's a Jewish game.
Yeah, it's Basque. Basque, thank you, and it's Basque for Merry Festival, which is an homage to a game that resembles racquetball, but is played with a basket and a pelota, a ball.
One of the most famous moments of it, or like visuals of it, is from the open of Miami Vice.
Miami Vice, that's right. There was actually a full episode about High Life.
Yep.
There, but yeah, a lot of fun, and
I went once, and that was like, wow, man, to fucking stand there, and fucking watch those guys whip that shit.
100 miles an hour.
It is insane, dude. My buddy, the best man at my wedding, Joe. This is before my wedding, but he had a little gambling. He probably still does have a gambling problem, but yeah, he used to go to Highlight, and he was the one who broke my cherry. There was blood everywhere. It was it was disgusting. But that was because I got hit in the head with a highlight ball.
Oh, no shit.
No, I just made that up for the joke.
Well, I'll tell you what, Miami High Life.
Get away from that hacky, bloody hymen breaking joke I made. Anyway, what?
Miami High Life was.
Why is Gomorrah?
You know what? Sorry. You haven't changed a bit. I gotta give you credit. What was I saying? Oh yeah, High Life was like deep in the bowels of like downtown Miami, like
roadie,
where it was like rough, and there was a strip club there called Club Pink Pussycat.
Yes,
if you went there, then you were, that's hardcore. I mean, I don't have the right vocabulary. Well, and you're all the better for it. I didn't really go either. I may have gone once after work, but very briefly. But yeah, love those South Florida adult entertainment centers. So Tootsie's, Miami Gold, Club Pussycat. There was another big one, Miami Gold, Solid Gold.
Yeah, there was Solid Gold, and then
had
there
the
was
word
also,
gold in it. Yeah.
And then there was also the Dollhouse, but that in the Motley Crue song "Girls, Girls, Girls," they say Dollhouse in Fort Lauderdale, when it was actually in Pompano Beach. But when I worked in Pompano Beach, when I was working right there by the Dollhouse. And right there with the Dollhouse in that same plaza was. I used to deliver pizza to them because the Dollhouse was actually closed because of drugs and shit, I think. And it was a round building, right there in the corner of Sample and US 1. And then there was what was it called? I don't remember. I still can't remember the fucking opening of this fucking podcast. Not Iron Sheik. Dude, he's one of the judges during the roast battle at the Comedy Store, and he always said, "What is up, mother bitches?" I can't say his name. I still can't remember. Usually by 49 minutes I would have remembered, but I still can't. Anyway, what was it? Pompano Beach. There was one. There was a big one. Pompano Beach. That's one of the ones you're trying to think of.
Yeah,
I can't.
They're everywhere.
I can't say it. I can't say the name. I went in there a couple of times. I never went in there as a patron. I only went there a couple of times because they were just a few blocks from the Domino's that I worked for. And I was
Now-
working at that Domino's when I got the IOD job. So I was doing both for a while, where I delivered pizza until 10 p.m. and I'd make myself some food and I'd drive down to 79th Street and work the overnight.
How resourceful.
It was cool because for a while there, I didn't have time to spend any money. So I was like Walter White. I had a fucking crate with money stacked on it.
Love it. You know how we got on this topic of adult entertainment clubs?
I have 2 stories I want to go back to. But go ahead.
I was going to say the whole reason we got derailed and started talking strip clubs is you were talking about that guy Dan in WIOD
Tootsie's.
sales who took you to Tootsie's.
Right.
Yeah.
He took me to Tootsie my birthday. That wasn't so special, but the other Tootsie story. My buddy Joe and another friend of mine took my dad to a Marlins game for his birthday. You might have gotten us the tickets.
Maybe.
We were third base. It was because we were in the Hollywood building. Yeah, because it was like 98 or 99, so it probably had to have been you. Might have been 97.
I would have still been there.
It probably might have been you, or it might have been 97 to where I got the tickets with the Ron and Ron thing because we had those guys that they used to do. Anyway, well, it was one or the other. But the point is, we ended up for my dad's birthday somehow. Luckily, ended up on the jumbotron twice. Me and my dad.
Wow.
So it was super cool for his birthday. That was neat. But after that, we took him to Tootsie's because it was right up the street. Joe, and he was all nervous. He didn't want to go in. He was like, "Nah, I don't want to do that shit. I'm too old for this shit. I'm too old for this shit." White dude talking like a black man.
Did they have their buffet out when you guys went?
No, because it was pretty late. So yeah, I think maybe the buffet's usually during the day. I don't know. Some of them. I don't remember. I was pretty buzzed, but because luckily the other friend was driving and wasn't drinking. But we go to Tootsie's, and then the funniest part was Joe gets my dad a lap dance, and the girl comes up, but my dad doesn't know it. It's supposed to be a surprise. So my dad and I are just sitting there talking, blah blah blah, and I knew it was coming. And the lady comes over and she goes, "Hey, sugar," da da da. She starts doing everything. Like, no. He starts like, "Dude, what's wrong with you, man? No, I don't want this shit. I don't want this." Like, he starts like a little tantrum. What? And Joe goes, "All right, man. I paid for it. Come over here, sweetie."
Talking about making lemonade out of lemons, huh?
Like, what the fuck? What's up, man? So, and then from there, we went to a bar that an ex-girlfriend of mine used to be the bartender, and then manager of. But she wasn't there anymore. But we went there because they had played pool. They had great pool tables, and Joe was running his mouth about being a great pool player. And I went, "Oh, this. We're not done tonight, Dad. You're gonna go kick his ass. All right, you don't want the dance yet." So I kind of made a deal with him. You don't want the lap dance? Well, we're going up the street to, I can't remember the name of the place, which was right around the corner from where David and I ended up living. Because at the time, I don't think I lived there yet. I think I was still living with my dad's weed dealer. I don't know. Anyway, so we go up there, Joe doing his talking, my future best man. Like, keep talking, homeboy, keep talking. My dad fucking wiped him around. My dad hadn't played in fucking 12 years. He hadn't picked up a stick in forever because he
Really?
turned into a hermit. My dad was a great bowler, great pool player, and dart player, bunch of other stuff. But then in mid-90s, he just fucking quit everything and just became a hermit, kind of like I have. At the time, I was like, "What are you doing, man? You're so good." Or not that I'm good at anything, but as I get older, I'm like, "Yeah, he's right. Just fucking stay home. Yeah, stay fucking home."
Can't beat it.
But yeah, he hadn't picked up a stick in forever. Just wiped Joe. It was so great. And Joe kept throwing money down. He kept betting. That's the gambler Joe was. I'm like, "Yeah, this is beautiful, dude. I want to watch my dad. Take your money." And he did. It was great. Anyway, sorry. Let's keep going. You talk. God, I told you I wasn't supposed to do all the talking.
Let's talk about you. I'm fascinated by this.
No, I just
comedy
did.
Scene.
I just did.
Well, let's talk more. So, so you moved to LA in 2003. I gotta say.
Well, first we went to Nashville. That's why I asked about if your daughter was going to be going to MTSU. Was right up the street from my
Mid-Tennessee
first
State.
home.
Yeah, they're the ones that came in and beat the Hurricanes in football about a month ago.
Really?
How dare they?
I took Cole to one of their games. It was so fucking cold that day because they were only like 2 miles from where we lived in Murfreesboro.
So how long were you?
My ex-wife was one of the VJs on CMT, so that's why we lived in Nashville for a little outside of Nashville for a bit.
How long were you guys there for?
2 years.
2 years, huh?
Yeah.
You like it?
I was there for a year and almost 2 years, but I left a couple of months early to LA to kind of scope everything out because we knew her contract wasn't going to get renewed at CMT in the upcoming year. So I moved out a little bit early and to scope, and it worked out for a while. It was pretty good.
And then you moved to LA.
No, that's what I moved to LA that couple of months, and they came out in January. I moved in September, end of August, early September of 2003, and then the rest of the family came out, and then I went back and packed the whole fucking house up, almost by myself, and drove it all the way across the country.
Wow.
That sucked.
Now I got to mention, I know we talked about this during the pre-show interview, but I got to talk about the time that I fell off my couch. I thought it was 1999, but you corrected me and said it was 2001 when I'm, in my northern Massachusetts home with my new wife, watching TV, and I see two young men in a TV commercial trying to win a car from Anna Kournikova, the very attractive tennis legend. And I look, and it's you.
Titles.
You're one of them. And I think the storyline had something to do with Anna Kournikova rings your doorbell, holds up a keys to like a Porsche or some car, and you guys look at the keys and you immediately drive off, leaving this gorgeous young lady behind. You're driving down the street in the Porsche, and all of a sudden you look at each other in horror saying, wait a minute, did we just leave Anna Kournikova? And then you guys do a major Starsky and Hutch style U-turn in the middle of the road, and you go back. And I remember I literally fell off my couch. And as I was telling you earlier during the pre-show interview, it wasn't because it was Anna Kournikova or you were in a commercial. I think Lycos, you said, was the .com advertiser that paid you. But it was I never knew that you even wanted to act. I knew you as the guy impersonating Jim Carrey during the Ron and Ron show. I had no idea that this was something you aspired to, let alone the national landscape.
I wanted to do it, but I had no idea how to do it. But it was my ex-wife. I met her because she started doing a show when that whole IOD switched over to when they switched the frequencies. And IOD basically became Super Talk 940, and then they brought in this part-time show called the Super Chicks.
I remember,
and then she was one of them. That's how I met her.
You met her there.
Yeah, that's how I met her at the station. And then I had heard that she had done some on-camera work or whatever. So one time I asked her, just knowing her, how do you do that? How do you do that? Because I have no idea. I've been, I'm interested, but I have no fucking clue. What the hell? Oh, I think one of my agents might like you, and so she introduced me, and I did a few things.
All right, now we're talking. So this is how it all came together.
That's how it started. It was all her. Yeah, she got me started, no question.
So after your national Lycos commercial, what happened next?
My daughter was born a couple weeks later.
But no other major acting roles,
dude. Dude, I was so scared shooting that commercial, and that's Adam Cronin, by the way, is the other guy in the commercial with. And the only reason I got the commercial was because I was lucky enough to be paired with him because the casting, the producers already knew who he was. There was already a commercial that they had done that I had auditioned for, and they didn't even get a call, and I didn't even get a call back. But the commercial got ruined because they shot everything before Anna got there, and then when she got there, she became a big pain, and they had to fucking blow it all up. Adam had been cast in that. So then a couple months later, they came up with some other concept, and then when I got the call to go audition, I was like, they didn't like me the first time. Why am I going? My agent went, just go. Luckily, I got paired with Adam, who they knew, who had been cast in the previous commercial, and we knew each other from auditioning for stuff. We hadn't worked together, but we had auditioned together before and stuff, and hung out and stuff. and seen each other at some parties, I think. And we hit it off, and boom, we got it. And then, but the whole time, we shot it right around in 2001, right around Valentine's Day. My daughter's due date was Valentine's Day. And luckily she decided, and the whole time I was scared shitless because I thought I was going to get called off the set, my first big gig, and I'm not even union, but I got a union job. And I'm going to get called up because I'm going to get a call that my wife has gone into, my soon-to-be wife has gone into labor. But luckily, my kid was cool, like she always was, and she hung out for a couple weeks longer.
So now, if one of your viewers wants to find that commercial, is it kicking around somewhere?
It's on my Mr. Trish Anderson YouTube, which is my personal thing, which I don't never push, but it's there. But just type in Anna Kournikova Lycos.
No, well, I for anybody who can watch it, please do it. It's a great piece of acting,
and it's only 30 seconds.
Not
taking anybody's time up.
All right, so that's 2003 or 2001.
Yeah, 2001.
So
then it ran all summer. Yeah, it ran all summer on during. Remember that back when the big game show at the time was The Weakest Link. And it was running during that, and we got screwed because we weren't getting residual. We were one of the first ones in that commercial shit where they started changing stuff into buyouts.
Yeah.
If that commercial, the way it ran, Adam and I would have been paid like fucking Matt LeBlanc for that fucking Heinz commercial 10 years earlier. But we were one of those original buyout things in the national commercial thing, so we didn't actually make all that much money. And I got screwed out of the stunt. I'm in that stunt. There's not in the car, when the car does the spin, it was supposed to be one shot to where we were supposed to do a fucking 180 and then pull away. But the car just, every time the stunt guy did we'd fly up, and then at a certain point before the camera, he'd pull the e-brake and cut the wheel, and then it would go away. So then they had to change it to get a still shot of baking the tires over and doing that.
Right.
Sort of blend it. But when they were going to do it, they came up to me, and I didn't know. It was my first SAG gig, and I didn't know that for SAG, if you're going to do a stunt, you have to negotiate beforehand. I just assumed, okay, I do the stunt. All right, I'll get paid later for it. Okay, great. I didn't know. And Adam didn't know that I didn't know. So he didn't tell me, but he knew because he'd been a SAG member since he was 10 years old. And then that's me in the car when the car's doing all that stuff. Even when the one where he's not driving, when Adam's not driving, that's actually me doing the stunt.
No
and
kidding.
At one point, the stunt driver got so pissed because the car kept fagging out. And when doing what he's trying to do, he ripped the fucking thing off the thing. He ripped the thing right out of it. It was hilarious. Stunt guy from Orlando. I was like, whoa, shit. And oh my God. And you know what pisses me off is to know now that I got raped out of $2,500 for stunt pay.
Yeah. Well,
and
where was this
fucking producer sitting there looking at me going,
where was this agent you were talking about?
Well, that was one of my Florida agents. That was Stellar Talent. I think they're still around. Cindy from Stellar.
So did this commercial get filmed in Florida, or was this out?
Yeah, that was a Florida thing.
Interesting. All right, so that's 2001.
Shot in Florida and everything.
2001, you said your daughter was born shortly thereafter. So just doing some quick math, that makes your daughter in her early 20s now.
Yeah, she's 21.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. So then you move out to LA in 2003, as you said earlier, more or less.
Well, no. Well, first we moved to Nashville, and that's
Nashville for a couple of years.
And that's
then you go to LA.
Well, yeah, but before that, and that's where I did when I was in Nashville. That's when I did. I did the Cletus T. Judd video, Dawson's Creek, Runaway Jury. Speaking of Runaway Jury,
so let's talk about Runaway Jury.
Speaking of Runaway Jury, we might have another guest coming up, but I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to jinx it. Jinx, hi, Mr. Jinx, if you're out there. Anyway.
Runaway Jury. You say you were in the movie, but your scenes never made it to the screen.
Yeah, I ended up on the floor, but somehow I still ended up in the credits and get residuals.
Nice.
Most people that get cut out of films like that, and then people are like, "Well, you were just an extra." No, I wasn't an extra. I was not an extra. I had a scene. I had lines. I had a scene with Nick Searcy. But they cut it, and you can, if you watch the DVD of Runaway Jury, the commentary, Gary Fleeter talks about that part, and he's friends with Nick. Nick is the one who told me that I was cut before I found out. He was the one that let me know, because I jokingly called him up and went, "Hey man, can I be your date? I just moved to LA. Can I be your date to the premiere?" And he's like, "Oh man, I hate doing this, but I don't want you to find out when you go see it in the movies. But yeah, we our shit got cut." Now, I didn't think it would, because he bribes me to get into finding out. It's when he's trying to find out who John Cusack is.
Right.
And he goes off. So Gary Fleeter mentions it in the commentary, where all of a sudden the movie shifts from Gene Hackman, Dustin Hoffman, John Cusack, Rachel Weisz to this secondary character for 10 minutes, going out trying to find out who the fuck John Cusack is. And we had to trim it. And there's a lot of good stuff in there that I had to trim and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't think I was going to get trimmed, because he bribes me to get in. So it goes from him finding out where he went to school, and then all of a sudden he's in a filing cabinet. But he went through me to get to that filing cabinet.
Oh,
that's all right. But I still get residual. But normally what I'm saying is, I got lucky in one way where I still get paid for the movie. Most people that get cut out, have a scene like that and get cut, they don't get any residual. They're not in the credits. They don't. So I got kind of lucky. So I made an extra $250 in the last 20 years.
So what other movies?
$250.
What other big Hollywood movies would we have seen you in?
Big Hollywood movies?
Yeah, I know you've done some independent stuff. But,
yeah, it's mostly independent. Big Hollywood movies. Jesus Christ, what is there? I haven't looked at my resume.
Were you ever the guy in the restaurant sitting in the background, or?
Oh, and what do you call it? What is it? Saving Mr. Banks.
Yeah. I'm
actually in the scene where, and I did that because I knew it was going to be a few days and we are going to get paid extra for being out where we were. So like, I'll do that. And I ain't doing anything. I don't have any voice gigs. Saving Mr. Banks. There's a scene where Colin Farrell, it's at a fair. And it's supposed to be in Australia, way back in like the early 1900s. And he's an alcoholic banker, which has a lot to do with everything, because that whole Mary Poppins thing is about psychedelics and banks, which is also what the Bible is about. Are we actually live? I can't believe. Okay. I can't believe it still says 0. I'm so surprised. I wonder what's happening. Anyway, if you watch that in that scene where he's drunk and he's on the stage giving a speech, and he ends up falling off the stage, but in a couple of close-ups when they cut to his wife, the beautiful, what's her name? I can't remember. I can't say the actress's name, but she is so gorgeous. I'm sitting right behind her, and I've got my beard is cut kind of funny, and I've got one of the funny hats from the early 1900s, Australia. We did a lot of stuff out there. Colin was the only person allowed to smoke out there because of where we were, and because it was all dry, and because it was like a, not desert, he was the only one. That was like 4 days. But there's that one spot where we did a lot of stuff, but there's one spot where they put me right behind her, and oh shit, I might be in one of these shots. Oh well. Just don't do anything. You're just an extra, stupid. You're just an extra. Don't do anything. So I didn't do anything. So you don't do anything. You clap when you're supposed to clap. You do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
I don't know. Whatever. I was high. I was fucking stoned.
So Wayne, tell me. Let's now turn our attention.
We're talking too much about me, Holmes. It's supposed to be about you. You fuck. No, it says your name.
I've single-handedly taken over your show. So
yes,
let's unpack the transition to comedy. Tell me about that. Go ahead, fire away.
This is a bit now. See, this is where Wayne, you didn't get it. He did that the last time. You were just supposed to give something, boom, but you just babbled.
Yeah, no, but I want to know what made you say, I want to be a comedian, because I know you were very well decorated during that time in LA.
Oh, that was one of the stories I wanted to go back to when we were back in those days in the Hollywood building. Remember Ed Arnold?
Ed Arnold. Ed Arnold. Why do I know that name, Ed Arnold?
He was a part-time fill-in host.
Yes, Ed Arnold.
Part-time fill-in host. Talk about redundant. What a cunt I am. Yeah, he was. Yeah, funny guy. I remember the first time I had to engineer for him. I was hung. I think it was Thanksgiving, or the day after. I was hungover as fuck. I'm sitting in that fucking that control room, just, dude. I mean, this guy's cool. I like this guy. All right, it's funny, but oh my god, I can barely keep my eyes open. I felt so bad for him, but I told him, like, dude, if you see me, I'm really hungover. Anyway, I told him I was a Hicks fan. I was a Bill Hicks fan. And I told him I had, and my from one of my friends, I had Ranton E minor, and what was the other one? Was it the Flying Saucer Tour, or I don't know. I had a couple of the Bill Hicks albums, and I had told Ed that he reminded me of Bill, and he didn't know who Bill was. And I'm like, shit, you serious? All right, that's cool, because now I know you. At least you're not, ripping him off. Are you really? You don't know who Bill Hicks was? No, man, no. All right, I'll set you up. So I took my CD. I went into one of those studios. I took my CD because it wasn't a thing where you could. At that time we didn't have tech where you could do it, real quick. They had to do it in real time. So I stuck my CD in the thing, and I burned off a thing. I burned off, I think it was cassette, another CD for him. And see, the funny part of the story is, on Bill Hicks's albums, between bits, if you've ever heard them, there's his music, him and Kevin Booth and Dwight and his friend Dwight, and they're all, and some other friends playing music and stuff, and him and Bill Hicks songs in between. Ed didn't know that. So I make him a copy of, I think it was Ranton E minor, and I give it to him, and he gets, he comes a few days later, I see him, he goes, dude, that was so fucking great. This is hilarious. I love this guy, but you didn't have to take all that time and put all that music in between. I went, what? That's not me, that's Bill. He thought I fucking produced it. It was so great. Oh, you want to hear a great Bill Hicks story? If you want to just fucking do this, where you just sit back like an asshole, like you were supposed to be doing all the talking. Dude, I met Mary Hicks. I met Bill's mom.
Oh, no kidding.
Have you ever seen when David Letterman, towards the end, I don't remember what year it was now. I've shared it 1,000 times. That's hyperbole. No, it's not. It's hyperbole. Letterman had Bill's mom on, and it was basically the whole show. He had Mary on because he was making up for, back in '93, late '93, Bill was making his 11th appearance, and they cut it because of some of the material.
Oh.
And then Bill wrote this fucking 4-page letter, and he was pissed. And nobody knew at the time also that Bill was dying of pancreatic cancer. He didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew until like a month before he died. Then people started to know. He kept it quiet. Anyway, my girlfriend and I, a bunch of years ago, 2010, 11 or so, American, the Bill Hicks story. You ever seen it? The documentary, a really cool Bill Hicks documentary.
I think I want to see it.
You got to check it out. They do this thing to where they take photos and sort of make them into the, not South Parkish, but that kind of almost that weirdish thing, but with also the behind it, the audio of Mary Hicks, Bill's mom talking, Kevin Booth talking, his friend, and also documentary maker Dwight talking, Bill's brother talking, all kind, a few other people. But they do it in this weird way. It's fucking great. There was a premiere in LA, and I take my girlfriend to it. I didn't know that Mary was going to be there. I didn't know that Steve, his brother, was going to be there, and Kevin Booth was going to be there. Oh, cool. Anyway, and it was at this some Latin film festival that they did downtown. Anyway, we get there. They set us up, and we go up to, and we sit down. We're like up in the middle of the theater seating. And all of a sudden, some other people start coming up like, oh, sweetie, look, that's Mary, that's Bill's mom coming up the stairs right there.
Right.
That's Kevin Booth, blah, blah, blah. They come up. Next thing you know, they start walking right towards them. Oh shit! 2 rows directly behind us the whole night. Right, Mary's behind us, and Kevin and Steve. After it's over, lights are up and stuff. People are walking out, and I go, "Oh, give me 1 second, sweetie. I'm gonna step up. I want to say hi to Mary." I just step. Oh, I look up, go over, and I step over the one thing, and hi, Mary. Nice to meet you. And she looks at me and she shakes my hand and goes, "It's nice to see you again."
Wow.
That's what I said. What does that mean?
Huh.
Is she old? Like I never met her, or did she see Bill in my eyes?
So what do you think?
Oh, it was probably that she's old and met a lot of people.
And she was
But
just
no,
being nice.
but I choose to believe that she saw Bill in my eyes. You fucking cracker! I can
so
do Bill.
deep.
Yo,
Very
dude, it was so cool. That was a
So-
fun, but
So Bill Hicks is one of your, obviously one of your top comedic influences. Who else would you put up there?
Stanhope,
Oh, okay. All right.
awesome.
Yeah.
How about you? Stop asking me stuff. You, dude. Who are yours? I actually started trying to asking you about your where you're getting it.
Yeah, I
And
think you
cut
asked me that.
off.
I think you asked me that during the pre-interview, or was that, or were
I
we
think it was
rolling?
like an hour ago. We're 116. No, I think it was like an hour ago.
So here's what
I
I'll
don't
say,
know.
because
Whatever.
as you know, as somebody who's done comedy, I've done comedy. We get asked it all the time. So you kind of have your canned brief response, your long response, and your real long response. I'll give you the somewhere in the middle. You know, I have a few comedic influences. There was a comedian who's no longer with us named Mitch Hedberg,
Oh yeah.
who I think
I saw a wino eating grapes. I said, dude,
Yeah.
you're supposed to wait.
Exactly. I mean, his brand of comedy, no one's ever done it ever since, and he has this
He was
observational
buds
comedy.
with Stanhope.
Right, and you know, it's a shame that he took his own life, and obviously
Well,
a lost treasure. But his delivery, I think, is mostly what people relate with mine, because I have this deadpan style of saying something, and you will literally get laughs 35 seconds later as people start piecing it together.
35?
Yeah, 30 or 35. How's that for a variation?
How's that for a delay?
30 or 35 seconds later. The point being is I love the deadpan. So obviously, if you're going to talk deadpan, you got to talk Stephen Wright. Although, man, I love some of his comedy, and I love his delivery, and also being basically a Bostonian now. I've been here, and we all know that Stephen Wright was part of the blossoming Boston comedy scene in the mid '80s that put people like him, Lenny Clark, Bobcat Goldthwait on the map. There's a great documentary out there called "When Stand Up Stood Out." That's all about how the producer from Johnny Carson, Peter LaSalle, came out to go visit his daughter at BU and decided to take in a comedy club and basically audition people on the fly, and how all the comedians kind of scrambled and put together their best A material. And as the story goes, Stephen Wright thought he bombed. He went home early that night, and it turns out Peter LaSalle wanted to book him, and goes out, he does Carson, gets called to the couch, which we all know was the badge of honor, unlike any other. And his career took off. And it just talks about stories like that and other comedians who didn't get called to the couch, but they all reminisce. And it's a great documentary, and I highly recommend it if you're ever looking to watch something about comedy. Again, it's called "When Stand Up Stood Out." But nonetheless, Stephen Wright, and I would even put out there, I'm a big Sebastian Maniscalco fan. I love his yarns. I mean, his jokes are a little bit more extended. They're not the, set up punchline like Rodney Dangerfield is known for. It's more like, hey, let me tell you about in the 70s when my doorbell rang and my family would run for cover. I love the way that he brings it all about his family, because we all can relate a little bit. And then somewhere in the middle, Wayne, I would say, I know these answers are going to seem so generic, but I like Chris Rock. I like, even Seinfeld, so there's a little bit of all of the above, but I'd say Mitch Hedberg was the one that, really I get a big chuckle out of when I hear some of his old bits on Sirius Radio and even, some of the Stephen Wright stuff.
Yeah, Stephen. Yeah, fucking. I have a light switch right out here in my kitchen. I don't know where it goes. And I told somebody the other day, I was like, yeah, I have one of these switches. I don't know. I do it. Nothing happens. But I got a call from Freeport, somebody going, cut it out. And then they were like, they started laughing. I'm like, and they're young. They're like, who did I tell that? They're like 24. And I immediately went, by the way, that's a Stephen Wright joke. You probably don't know who he is, but look him up. WR.
Stephen,
Like Wayne
W.
Roberts.
Yeah, exactly. Stephen Wright. By the way, if you watch that documentary, he had a great joke during the Johnny Carson where he goes, "Yeah, I went up to a convenience store and the door was locked, but the sign said open 24 hours. So the attendant comes out and I said, 'Are you open?' He said, 'No.' I said, 'But it says you're open 24 hours.' And the guy looked at me and said, 'Not in a row.'" That was like his big joke that killed on Letterman. And of course, every time I go to a Denny's or an IHOP or something where I'm eating way too late at night, I love to do that joke where I go to the waitress, says, "So it says here I can get breakfast anytime." And he or she will reluctantly say, yeah, what can I get you? And I'll say, "French toast from the Renaissance." Just to see if they get it. I think that joke was actually repurposed in the movie Swingers. I think Jon Favreau kind of took parts of it and tried to do that. But yeah, no, I love that stuff. And
Mitch, actually, speaking of Mitch, that Mitch had the one, the dry cleaner one that's like that.
Yeah.
About sorry we're closed or whatever. Why you have to be sorry? Like I was like stop and go at 4 a.m. going, how can you not be open?
That was his delivery,
How can you? I saw a wino eating grapes. I said, dude, you're supposed to wait. I did that the other day to somebody and they didn't get it. They just kept talking, blah, blah, blah. Did you get it? And there was 3 people. One person got it. And they're laughing, and then just the other 2 were just blah, blah, blah. You guys said, you got it. Okay, cool. You got it. And then, got what? Wino eating grapes. Wait, what? I don't get it. They didn't know that wine came from grapes.
Right.
Oh,
right.
These youngsters. Oh, the way we get and that's how I teach them. I teach them through other people's stand-up comedy.
Well, there you go. All right, so you started doing stand-up in the early 2000s, and tell me and your viewers.
What about you? Now stop with me. No. What? Why? No, dude. What about you? Okay, you got that. So what was your inspiration for getting on the boards, doing theater?
Theater. Okay. Well, theater. I had done stand up for a while, and theater started, and it's going to sound like a very Leave It to Beaver style answer, but it's true. My daughter was doing shows in her then elementary school. Call it 2015, and there was a acting guild in my town for like adults and kids, but you really kind of had to know your stuff. So my wife said, "Hey, she wants to audition for the production, but I really think one of us should probably go ahead and like be in the show with her, just to kind of keep an eye on her." She was young, like 7 or 8 at the time. And at first, I couldn't have been more opposite. I was like, "No, I'm not gonna. I don't act. I don't sing. I don't dance." And through some talking back and forth, I said, "You know what? Let me try this." Again, getting out of your comfort zone. I love getting out of the comfort zone. And I auditioned. It was the production was Fiddler on the Roof, a nice homage to imperialist Russia in 1920s, about the plight of the Jews there and having to leave their town. So I did it. I got a bit part. I had maybe a couple lines of dialogue. I was like a beggar who was just every now and then would pop up on stage asking for money, but it was just enough to wet my beak a little bit and get the bug.
You didn't do anything in school?
No, I did nothing. I did nothing artistic in school. Nothing. And in fact, it's one of my big regrets. If people said, "Hey, if you could go back and change something," I said, "You know what? I would learn how to sing, number one."
Yeah.
A guy who learns how to sing in high school has it made.
Yep.
Right? Because nowadays you go and you audition for these community theater productions, they will put out a post 5 days after the audition saying, "We're still looking for men between the ages of 25 and 55. Men have it made if they want any part, but you got to know how to sing and do a little bit of choreography and all that." But no, I never did anything artistic. But getting back to Fiddler on the Roof, it was a great show. I loved the storyline. I loved the cast size. I loved the bright lights. You know what I loved? I loved you know what I really loved?
I love them bright lights.
I love the bright lights. Bright lights of the big city. I loved 5 minutes before the show started when everyone's backstage, kind of,
and I gotta pee,
getting out the jitters, and the stage manager comes and says, 5 minutes to curtain. That feeling on the back of your neck when that hair stands up straight, there's nothing like it. And that's kind of what got me going back. So I did Fiddler on the Roof, and then I said, you know what? I want to keep this going. So I did a Shakespearean production called The Taming of the Shrew, where I had a much bigger part this time, where I actually had to memorize lines of dialogue. That was new to me, because in Fiddler, I had basically 3 little bit parts. And then I did that. I did a critically acclaimed show called Chess, which was a musical. You may not have heard of it, but it was written by the guys from ABBA, Bjorn Ulvaeus, Benny Andersson. When they left ABBA, they kind of, as a hobby, wrote an entirely other musical for stage. I did that. I did Guys and Dolls. I was Big Julie the mobster there. I was played Uncle Billy in the stage production of It's a Wonderful Life, which is a very emotional stage production, because if you love the movie, you're going to love the stage production. And did that. Did some dinner theater. Did something called what was the other one? Gosh, I can't remember. Beer for Breakfast, which was written by a local playwright. So yeah, I've done about 10 shows. Obviously, up until early 2000, when I was scheduled to be in our local production of Urinetown, a big golden age. Yeah, no, well, don't let the name fool you. It's actually a very good musical.
It's funny. You said Urinetown and then Golden. That's funny.
Why stop now, right? But anyway, so
shower.
I haven't.
Let's see, that do a little trio. Sorry, go ahead.
Haven't done anything since then. But for anyone watching who's debating, no matter what age you are, and this is the thing I tell young people. I think I did my first show with my daughter when I was like 44. Like I'd already aged out of the system. It's never too late. It's never too late to go back and do stand up, to do stage stuff, to do anything. Just getting started.
No, that's a cool synchronicity there. You and your daughter thing. When I played the whiskey, the only reason I played the whiskey is because my daughter was playing the whiskey. Because she wanted to. I was a Manny for a little while. A buddy of mine who was an art director. Dude, he designed the Firefly. He helped design the fucking Firefly.
Really?
He worked on Firefly the show, but they didn't hire him for the movie for Serenity, which was ridiculous. Because my building in Studio City in California, it was known for, that's where dudes moved when they got divorced. So, yeah, or separated. So he moved in a few months after me. So anyway, because I did voice stuff, Adam, and did a lot of stuff only from my apartment, his kids, who were right around my daughter's age, they were friends, Miles and Sylvie. He lost his Manny. So he was like, dude, I have them here, 3 days, every other weekend, but also every Tuesday and Thursday, and then every other Friday. Can you want to be there, man? Blah, blah, blah. And they love you, and blah, blah, because I was like Uncle Wayne. Like, yeah. And then, of course, on the weekends, Riley was there, so we had all 3. So I would take care of them. Anyway, he put Miles in this School of Rock thing with this guy named Dave Curtis. Super cool guy, fucking hilarious. And Riley enjoyed that. We went after, when you're in that as a private in his thing, like every one of them, you're in as a private student, and then of course there's always they do 2 shows a year. One in the summer, one in the winter, that kind of thing. Well, Miles's first show was at the Mint in L.A. Where a lot of bands have played. So I'm like, wait, little dude that I watch, my little guy, he's going to fucking, who I taught him how to play baseball, because Colin didn't even know how to throw overhand.
Right.
We went to the park, all 5 of us once, his 2 kids and mine. Like, what? Miles and him are playing fucking catch. And I'm like, wait, whoa. Colin, are you throwing the ball underhand to him? What are you doing? Well, I'd never learned. All right, you hang out with the girls. I'll take care of Miles. Miles turned into a fucking all-star baseball player. Just saying, sweethearts. Miles's first show that he played live was at the Mint, and so Riley and I are there, and they're watching. I want to go to there. Okay, let's and she wanted to play drums, so she went there to be for private lessons to play drums, and this whole thing came along to where they're going to do the show, and then and Dave, I already knew from talking to him because my kid's there. I talked to the guy; he's my kid's teacher. He knew I played bass, so he's like, "Hey, you want to just take some private lessons, and during the private lessons, we'll just rehearse tunes that we'll do for the show, so you and your kid can actually do a show together at the not together but different bands." So what he did was then he took all his students and he broke it up to like 5-6 bands, and each band had 5 songs, and I was in, and he always had his band where usually his band was at least 2 or 3 parents of some of the kids. So, and I usually played classic rock shit, so whatever. So you be in my band, play bass, blah, 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 maybe sing something. Sing? I'm like, yeah, come on, let's just do it. And they're like, come on, man. Anyway, so that's why I played the Whiskey, because I watched my kid play drums at the Whiskey before I even graced that stage. That was the best part. Like, look at that. My kid is playing drums where John Densmore played, Tommy Lee, Steven Adler, da-da-da. The list goes forever. And I'm going to be up there in a minute, but you know what? I'm going to enjoy my Jack and Coke and watch my kid.
So is that how it all started?
That was just how I played the Whiskey. That was how that happened. It wasn't, wasn't in a band or anything at that time. It was just Dave going, "Hey man, just, take some private lessons. Could you be here right after Riley, and she can hang out with my kids after when she's done. You do your thing, and we'll just rehearse the tunes, the 5 tunes that we're going to play." And then we have every Friday night, we only rehearsed like fucking, as a band, like fucking maybe 8-9 times. Most of the rehearsing was everybody, just kind of a little privately here and there with Dave. But it was fucking awesome. I'm like standing on that stage where, holy shit, this where Morrison, this where this fucking guy. Anyway.
All the memories.
That was pretty cool. No. Oh, shit. Now what is time? It's the perfect time. Because Tracy wants to make me talk, but he's going to have to talk because Wayne has to go pee. And we all know that when Wayne has to go pee and he has a guest...
I have to tell a story.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So
you go right ahead, sir, and that's one of my fun things that I won't know until later on. So I'm going to take my time. Well, I'm old, so I have to.
Well, you go ahead. I'll kill some time here. So let's see, Wayne. What else can we talk about? So Wayne, Wayne was a pretty good basketball player. One thing we haven't gotten into yet, and I'm sure he may want to talk about it. I know he's floating that promotional picture around on YouTube about the basketball challenge. Back when the radio station we worked for became part of a bigger group, we one year had a AM versus FM challenge, and Wayne and I were both on the AM side, and we were a bunch of underdogs, misfits. Half of us didn't even have the right sneakers, and the FM side was like the Ivan Dragos of basketball. They were all playing in men's rec leagues. They were all fit. Some of them could probably even dunk. And I remember just, us going up against them, trying to give them as much hell as we could. And I can't remember what the score was. I can't remember if we even came close, but it was fun watching, again, a bunch of us renegades trying to go out there and, give them hell, so to speak. So, yeah, if you see that picture kicking around on the YouTube page, you'll see that was our group photo, I think, right before we played. We both look a little different then, but again, a lot of fun. That's when we both worked on the AM side. What else can we talk about with Wayne? I talked about how I saw Wayne in that commercial after I moved up here. According to him, I guess he never really got any more sizable commercial roles, but he did have a great independent movie out a few years back. I'll let him talk about when he gets back. Oh, as if on cue. There he is. Hey, Wayne, what was the name of that independent movie you did where the guy like held you? I don't want to give spoilers, but the guy held you up at gunpoint, but it was like a toy gun, but you kind of went along with it. What was the name of that movie? Go ahead.
Looking for Liana.
Yes, excellent. And it was a short, right? It was like
23
20
minutes.
Yeah. Now
It
where
was
can we
a
see that?
It
Yeah.
was a thesis for New York Film Academy.
Okay.
2011. It screened at Cannes
No kidding.
in 2012.
Now, Wayne, if your viewers want to find,
Mainly because of the cinematography. The cinematography is awesome.
it was
You
excellent.
love that?
Yeah. And the acting was not bad.
The acting was okay, but it was mainly the cinematography is just fucking beautiful.
Yeah, weren't you guys like in a desert or driving across country or something like that?
It was shot in Lycos, which is about 4.5 hours north of Los Angeles on the coast, about 45 minutes south of the Hearst Castle. We were supposed to go to the Hearst Castle. The whole crew, the cast and crew, was only me and Harwood mainly, but we all stayed in a house together, like 18 of us. It was I love that way to do it, and that's one of the reasons why it turned out so good, because everybody was always together for like fucking 6 days. And the last day, we were supposed to, they were going to take everybody up to the Hearst Castle and do a tour. But something went wrong with the camera one of the days, so somebody had to drive all the way back 4.5 hours to L.A. to get something and drive all the way back. So we lost a day and a half. Yeah. So we never got to do the Hearst Castle. But every time somebody brought it up, I would jokingly threaten that I'm going to burn the fucking place down.
Now, Wayne, where can we see that if we want to?
Meaning the reason why it's on Vimeo.
Vimeo.
Looking for Liana. I've put the link in many. I've talked about it and put the link in a few podcasts, but yeah. But the funny part is I would jokingly, everybody like, what are you talking about? What do you want? Why would you want to burn that place down? Because he is the reason one of the reasons that cannabis was outlawed fucking almost 100 years ago. That's why we have such poison with fucking petroleum, which a little bit is okay. I don't want to totally get rid of petroleum. That would be stupid. But you can remove a lot of it and supplant it with industrial hemp, which would give us a lot of the plastics and a lot of the stuff that the poisonous oil gives us, but it would be non-poisonous and non-toxic. And that's one of the reasons why it was, and one of the reasons why so many cancers and so many things, but we're not going to get political tonight. Right.
Why start now, right? You know what I just thought of, Wayne, would be a masterful promotional idea, because I know most of your views for these podcasts come after the fact. We should name drop
mostly audio. The YouTube doesn't do too, because I don't.
Well, we'll
I
change
also
that.
don't promote the fucking thing.
We're gonna change that tonight, because here's what we can do. We can drop as many stories about mid-90s radio hosts who worked for that station, and then what you do is you send out a post saying, if you worked in South Florida radio in the mid-90s, you better watch out, because you may or may not have been mentioned in this podcast. You're gonna get bonko numbers of people tuning in. The Karen K's of the world, the Walt Sabos.
I won't even bother with those fucking
Walt Sabo, Grego, Mike Church.
A good story about Grego. Grego takes over Neil's slot. Yeah. And I hated him immediately because he went on the air and was trashing Neil like an idiot, and he didn't do himself any favors. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? But then I got to know him.
Yeah.
But here's the funny thing. Because remember before that, Ron and Ron, remember with the whole switch, because Ron Diaz didn't move to Fort Lauderdale with them, and then they had to get a whole new Ron?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Diaz didn't go. That's right. I remember that.
So after Ron and Ron are gone, they're dead, and they don't have a gig. And now I'm friends with Greg because my roommate David was his producer.
Yeah.
And so I got to know Greg. Okay, all right, he is pretty cool, and I helped him with some things. And then Greg has a party one night, and I invite Fez from Ron and Ron. We're sitting there hammered, and all of a sudden, the three of us are talking, and it hits me, and I go, dude, Greg, you should have been the new Ron. That's what would have fucking worked, and everything would have been fine. he knew of the thing, but he didn't audition. He didn't put his name in, but he had heard about it. And Fezzi, the cool part about that was Fezzi went, yeah, because nothing. Hayes was great. He was a nice guy. He was a great guy and everything he tried. But man, they always had to tell him to stop trying to be funny. They're the funny guys, but he kept doing this thing.
The late Fez Watley.
Yes, that was a. I was so surprised, dude, when I tuned into his retirement show. I didn't listen to it until like 2 years later, and I went, oh, I didn't know, because it popped up in my recommends. Oh shit, fuck. So I went and listened to it, and he actually mentioned me and the list of people.
Kidding.
There was a lot of people.
That's awesome.
But I was like, oh my God, he said Batman.
Wow.
That was
wait a minute. I just thought of something. Batman, the reason you're doing this in that basketball picture.
Is that what it is?
It must be. You were doing
we got to talk about the basketball picture.
We talked about it while you were on the.
Is that what you talked about?
Yeah, we talked about how it was the AM versus FM, and the AM team was like the island of misfit toys. Where none of us had the right sneakers, and we were just like throwing together a Bad News Bear style team. Whereas FM was like the Ivan Dragos of basketball. Everyone played in men's rec leagues. I think half the team could dunk. Do you remember? Did we get killed, or did we keep it close?
We did not win, but we won when we turned it around and we went and played softball. That's when we kicked their ass. And then they were like, "Hey, how about we just blend everything and we go get in a league together?" That's what happened. Remember that?
Yes. Fun times.
But did you mention in the basketball story though about how in the picture how 3 people are wearing Ron? Is it 3 people?
I think I'm one of them.
Wait.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's me with the.
That's right. Yeah, you got the T-shirt. But then Dan, who's the dude? Who's the dude? The white dude? Who is that guy?
Pat Mullen.
Pat
Mullen. Name drop. Yeah. Pat Mullen.
That's his name.
Actually, I think I can name all these people. If you keep that up for a second, let me put my readers on here. All right.
The only other one that I don't know is the guy right in front of Pat.
Okay, that's Adam Lubkin. Who
is my God,
doing
Adam
very well.
Fucking Lumpkin. Holy shit! And I know Tom Denenberg, the world's biggest asshole.
The world's biggest asshole, Tom Denenberg.
Yeah, he had a.
You got you doing the. You must be doing the Adam West.
Either that or I'm rubbing my eyes because I'm seriously hungover.
Hendrie Casado, aka Hank, who
with the most beautiful wife, one of the most beautiful wives on the planet.
Yes, his wife Melissa, and they're both, I believe, doing very well. And then of course Andy Corridge, who was a great guy to work for, and he, we talked about good guys in the sales department. He, to me, was one of them.
You remember the thing? You remember the video? Yeah, we'll get to Adam. You remember? I've mentioned Adam before. Do you remember that video in the late '90s? I guess it was or so, where it was that video that went around of the disgusting video of the 2 Asian girls in the hot tub eating shrimp and puking and stuff. Yeah, Andy was the one who showed me that video.
Does that surprise you?
No.
Those were fun times. But
look at your hair.
Oh yeah, no, I had the Christopher Columbus look going.
Dude, well, my favorite part about that picture is you're wearing a Ron shirt. I fucking love it, dude.
Yeah, I think we did that because none of us had
No, we had them left over, and we was like, hey, why don't we wear these for jerseys? Because they were IOD AM.
Yeah,
but I don't know why. I think mine was under that shirt. I think I wore that shirt over mine because I didn't like to walk around with it because I thought my arms looked like strings hanging out of it. So that's why I wore a baggy T-shirt because I was a pudgy drunk.
Well, and I think our station promotional budget was non-existent, so we didn't have WIOD.
Oh, shirts. I don't know. Maybe we can do it. I know some people can. Maybe other people do it. We'll put it up anyway. I know. I tried earlier and it looked like shit. But
what was that? The other picture?
Yeah. Where is it? Where the hell is it? I removed it for some reason. I didn't mean to. I meant to hit the other button. Whip stuff. Tracy. It's under Tracy right there. This one here. It's uploading. Sorry.
Oh.
You'll have to stretch. I don't know why, because I have to turn it into a PDF, but people will have to just to be able to see, you got to see it. You got to stretch it just to see his fucking chest.
Yeah. Well, and lest anyone forget the 8-pack abs too, Wayne. But just to recreate the scene, my recollection was that was a softball diamond. You're playing third base, and that was back during an era where I wasn't married, had no kids, I lived in a 1-bedroom on South Beach on Alton Drive.
South Beach on Alton Drive.
I worked out every night. I went to the gym every night. I had leg days, I had chest days, I had ab days. It was great. And
I wish I could fucking zoom that in.
It was also, Wayne, during an era where if there was ever an opportunity for me to remove my shirt, I did.
Yeah, it was fucking great.
It was great. Yeah,
nobody would assume it the way you were or as a person. It was such a surprise, and you'd fucking. There was a few times where I went. I think I was. You had. I know there was a couple times where I just went, Tracy, take off your shirt right now.
It's like,
dude, and they go, what the fuck?
What? We're playing in a softball tournament. Oh, shirt comes off. Yeah, those were the days. Obviously, that was during a different lifetime, but yeah, a lot of fun back then, and again, fond memories I'll never forget. But you mentioned Grego, and I'm in the same boat with you, Wayne. Where like when he first came in and kind of took Neil Rogers' time slot, we all wanted to not like Grego. Remember? Because we all were so loyal to Neil, and I think Neil, if you remember, I think he had like a 6-month sit-out period. I don't think he went over to 7 months. Yeah, he didn't go over to WQAM right away. So Grego came in, and we all kind of warmed up to him. I mean, first of all, he looked like Mr. Clean.
I didn't for a while.
I
didn't like that first show, and the problem was I wanted to like him, but I didn't know. He went right on in his first segment, just started talking shit about Neil. I'm like, no, dude, you are fucking. You are putting a bullet in your own head.
But wait,
you think you're funny, but this is not funny. You're gonna get trashed, and he did.
But come on, let's be real. That he was put up to that by the corporate bigwigs who said attack Neil, and then what will happen is they'll talk about you on the air, and as long as they say your name right on the other station, that's free press.
Oh, probably, yeah, absolutely.
And if we had Grego right now and injected him with sodium pentothal, which is a social name for truth serum, I think he would have confessed to that. He didn't want to do any of that, but he was put up to it.
Anthrax also had a song about it.
Yeah. But Grego, by the way, looked just like Mr. Clean.
Yeah, bald. Yeah.
I remember, and I think the statute of limitations has expired, so I can talk about this openly now. We, believe it or not, to show you how crazy South Florida radio was in the mid to late 90s, we did a series of Friday night live remotes. Remember those live remotes where advertisers paid a certain fee and then you took a show over to their location? We did a live remote on a Friday night at a swingers club. And it was called Plato's Repeat. And it was modeled after the famous Plato's Retreat in New York. Same owners, in fact. I think the owners retired and so you know where I'm going with this.
Oh, absolutely. I was
Frankie
there
before,
and Herb. I was there before you, homie.
Frankie. Oh, that's where I know you from. Plato's Repeat. Frankie and Herb.
Yeah. The orgy room. The orgy room. I think we high-fived in the orgy room.
You know what? Now that I think about it, weren't you part of that exploratory crew that they gave us the tour? So I remember we did a live remote.
Did you say exploratory with orgy? What?
I remember doing a live remote, and it was me, Grego, and it could have been you as part of that group. And we said to the owner, "Hey, can you give us a tour so that when we go on the air, we kind of know what we're talking about?" And we would go room to room. He goes, "All right, well, here's the bar. Just so you know, we don't have a liquor license, so it's BYOB. So people bring
Wait. You gotta stop. Are you telling the same story? You were there?
Well, I was there several times.
Wait.
Would have it.
Okay. Me too. In a couple of different capacities.
Well, let me tell my story, and then you can tell me if it's your story.
Wait. I want to know if you. But I think you might be telling my story, and I'm forgetting that you were there.
I don't think so.
Was Greg hosting a lingerie party thing or whatever?
It might have been, but my story is a little bit more.
No, I don't know. This wasn't a live remote. My story wasn't a live remote. It was just me, David, Greg, and his girlfriend, his fiance.
Oh, sorry, Debbie.
Right? Stop with the name drops.
So
I don't remember.
We were getting the tour. Me, Grego, and whoever else from the station was there. There was like 3 or 4. It was the engineer. It was Greg.
I think what you're talking about is before my story. It was the first time he went. Yeah.
It It was the very first time that we ever stepped foot in this
Wonderful
place called called Plato's Repeat. So the owner is giving us the full
In Fort
knockdown
Lauderdale.
drag out tour in Fort Lauderdale. Right, I don't remember my exits anymore, but it was off one of the
I don't remember either. I just remember the fences.
university. I don't know. So he's giving us a tour, and we start. We go room to room. This is the bar. It's BYOB. We don't have a liquor license, but people bring their own beer. We give free mixers if you bring your hearts up. Blah blah blah. Then we go and say, all right, well, this is like the hot tub. So later in the evening, people are more than welcome to come in here. It's clothing optional. You keep your clothes on. You can have no clothes. And suddenly, all of a sudden, our antennas go ding. Did he just say clothing optional? So now we go in the back. Because all right, this is the locker room. So this is what happens is if you're going to go in the back room, what you do is you're going to get changed here, and you can get a robe, and suddenly our heads are spinning.
Towel.
We're like,
you get naked and you
get towel or robe, and suddenly our heads are spinning because I kind of went into this a little naive. I didn't know what swingers club was. So we go in there, and then he goes, all right, so now here's the back room. But unfortunately, gentlemen, you guys, so we go up there, and there's like a bouncer in front of the room. This is like a big room, maybe like 40 yards wide by like 20 yards, big room. And the bouncer stops me, Grego, and whoever else is part of this delegation. He goes, sorry, you can't go in there because being a swingers club, we need to have a like number of men and women. And you guys are 4 guys all just standing right here. So Grego said the best line ever. He said, Frankie told us to come on in and have a good time. He said with a straight face. So the guy goes, oh, all right. Just as long as you guys go, and once you get a towel, take your clothes off, blah, blah, blah. So we're playing by the rules. So we go there, we get our towels. We all have towels around our waist, and we go in this big room. Now, this was 20-something years ago, but what I can remember vividly was how quiet it was in that room. All I kept hearing was the ceiling fans on the top, right? And I remember seeing on the floor, there were cushions everywhere. And right down the middle,
basically a mattress floor.
Yeah, it was a mattress floor, but
bunch of mattresses.
Right down the middle was a line that kind of divided the room in two. And I remember saying to one of the attendants, I said, "Hey," and we had to keep our voices down because it was very quiet in there. I remember saying, "What's with the line?" He goes, "Oh no, on this side of the room are people who just want to watch, and on that side of the room is full swap." I was like, "Whoa!" And all of a sudden, and it was quiet, and I heard the fans, whoosh, whoosh, but then I kept hearing this. And it was the sound of flesh hitting flesh, people doing each other from behind, forward. And then, so Grego and I are just standing there. And again, whoever else was there. And we're just watching this. And this was so surreal that fast forward to the end of the night when we're all like, get our clothes back on and we all step out. I remember stepping out of the front door in the parking lot. And it literally felt like what Dorothy felt like when she returned from Oz to Kansas, And the next morning, I see Grego and everyone else right before his airship, and I said, "Wow, and you were there, and you were there." I mean, it was literally like that last scene in The Wizard of Oz, and it was the most surreal thing. But I remember Grego goes right on the air talking about the Swingers Club, and he did it in a way where he didn't get anyone into trouble. He talked more about the lifestyle and all that. But that was one of my most vivid Grego memories, the way he handled it so calmly with grace in a situation that most people will be freaked out and want to run for the hills. Now, what's your Plato's Repeat story? Go ahead, fire away.
Well, I have more than one. That whole Plato's Repeat thing actually started a few years before Grego, where it started with Passion Phones, which was before your time at IOD.
It was
with Aaron Summers. And she one night did a show about swinging and got a bunch of calls, and people kept mentioning Plato's because the local place is Plato's, blah blah blah. So Plato's gets all this free press or free advertising. Next thing you know, Frankie calls up, or I don't know what happened, but whatever. Frankie was like, invited her that she could come do the show there, and also invited. Bob Green, everybody, the whole fucking thing. Just what you just described happened 3 years previous from the crew at 79th Street. I wasn't part of that, but my buddy Steve, my birthday buddy Steve, I was his backup for that show, just like I was backup for everybody else. And Steve was in the same class, went to the same school I went to, and Steve and I, we used to celebrate our birthdays together. The Billabong, he used to come. In August, our birthdays were a couple of days apart, so we celebrated together every year. The Piercer, Well, he was her producer.
Yeah, what was his last name? Was it like Spurrier or something like that?
Spear.
Gee,
We are just dropping the names, man.
Hey, it's all about viewership, right? That's right. Steve Spurrier was the football coach.
He had a bunch of Spurrier was the Gator coach, and the Redskins coach for a little while, and others. But I said Redskins.
That didn't work out too well.
Cancel me. I said Redskins. I grew up a Redskins fan.
Well, no, technically you're accurate because at the time they were the Redskins.
That's right. But Steve was also known as the Piercer. I think Rick Riley named him the Piercer because he had a nose ring and he had a bunch of earrings.
That's right.
But anyway, he was Aaron's producer. Well, they did that whole thing where they invited the whole IOD people to check it out and maybe do commercials, blah blah blah. Aaron didn't even go, and then she refused to do a show from there because she was afraid, whatever. Anyway, but Steve went to the thing, and then when he came back and told me, and he's like, dude, if you want to go with me, we can go any day. We can even go on fucking Saturday nights, the couples night. Frankie invited us. We can go whenever. Just be cool. I know you're cool. We'll be cool. Just let's go. I had just bought my fucking Ranger. And we went and, we brought our booze. We got fucking hammered. Some woman in a cast was walking around in a dress. And because Steve and I were not, going up to women and we weren't doing anything, we were just hanging out, just observing. And because we were usually together, this woman at one point comes up to us, "Are you guys together? Are you both? Are you?" No, we're just guests. We're just hanging out. Yeah. Oh, okay. An hour later, I go in to take a piss, and I realize a lady is getting banged in one of the stalls, and I just look down and I see the cast. I went, "Oh, it's her."
The lady with the cast.
I'm sitting out there in one of the rooms where the dance floor is, and the tables, and you just see fucking, a 70-year-old couple in towels walking towards the fucking hot tubs. And you're like, what? Anyway, so Steve, so I went with Steve one night, and it was like I said, it was after I brought my truck, and then Frankie was super cool, of course, just like he said.
Yeah.
He's no longer with us, but super cool. And I have another, the Grego thing where he gets even cooler because he remembered me, and I was just some schlub just hanging with Steve. He gives us passes. When we leave, and we get passes, like a couple of things where we can come whenever we want. Just had this thing, whatever, and I never used it. I just stuck it in my wallet. And then one night I had a girlfriend where it was a Friday night, and gorgeous woman, and she had known about because I told her about what I just told you from a few years before with IOD or whatever. And I was like, actually, I have this thing, and she knew, whatever. I didn't push it or whatever. And then jokingly one night, after an early dinner and sex, it's only 9:00, and she's like, "What do you want to do now?" I'm like, "I don't know. Why don't we go to Plato's?" Yeah. I'm like, "Oh, I was kidding. No, let's do it."
Oh my goodness.
You serious? I have that thing that I showed you. You really want to do it? Dude, it was the funniest thing because I had been there once and, no attention except for one woman asking me if I was bisexual. And then this other dude. No, with my friend. That was the only attention I got with all these people. I go there with her on a Friday night and there's not that many people. Go up to and I told her everything. If somebody starts hitting on you, I'm not going to act jealous because there are rules and I know there are, if somebody does anything, you just say no thanks. Or what? I guess you can do whatever you want. But we go right to the bar. We bring our stuff, and we're sitting there. And a dude comes up and sits on the other side of her. And as we're talking, she's like, "He's. I don't know if you can see, but he's rubbing my leg." And I'm like, "Wow, this is weird because this is this thing where I actually have power, and it's gonna work if you just say stop. There's not gonna have to be a fight." And she just politely blah blah blah, and he went, sorry, he left. Sat there for a bit. We go in the other room. As soon as we sit down where the dance floor is, there's not that many people. We sit down, and immediately a woman that could have been fucking Pamela Anderson at the time before all the surgery, face surgery, could have been her sister. Sits down and almost immediately invites us to her and her husband's house. Like,
house.
Whoa! Yeah.
Wow.
Afterwards. Like, whoa!
Wow.
Now, like I've been there 3 times. I never did anything, but this is the one where I did the thing with the towel. Like, okay, so we sat there for a bit. Nothing's really going on because it's a Friday night, so the single men are allowed. So there's not a lot, there's that over thing. So there's not a whole lot going on. And I went, what do you want to do? She, let's go check it out. Let's go do the thing with the towel where you have to get naked and with the towel and go back. All right, let's do it. We went to where you already explained, and we went in there.
That big room, yeah.
We walk in and sit down almost like immediately right as we walk into the right, and there's that what you just talked about where that split, but also there was like a horse thing, like a gymnastics horse, like a table.
Yeah, like a table.
Yeah. Well, we sit down and we realize what's happening on that table. The woman that just invited us to her house with her husband, she's laying there on her back while another woman is doing some chowing and giving her some oral magic. We're like, whoa, okay, yeah, well, and looking around, and there's that other half where people are just, basically it's all dudes jerking off.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, and then I remember somebody, I don't know what happened, but they bumped heads somehow, and it was this whole moment where, oh, sorry, it was like, oh shit, yeah, this even happens here. And then, this, real quick, and then this couple comes over and sits with us and goes, hey guys, and they start talking to us, and we think that they're gonna, another invite thing or whatever maybe, but they're like, did you guys get invited? Did they invite you? Because they invited us, and I don't know. We didn't know because this is our first time thing. Oh, it's our first time. This little. So we're in an orgy room and having this little. Oh yeah. Oh, the conversation for people. Like, we don't know either. Oh, we're newbies. Yeah. It was so fucking.
It's hilarious. Like a PTA meeting breaking out in an orgy room.
So fucking fun. And then I think somewhere in that conversation was where the heads banged.
All I remember about that room is how quiet it was. I mean, it's almost like there was an understanding. No one spoke.
Yeah.
And you did speak, it was quiet, and just the fans, and I don't know. I will never ever experience anything like that. And I just again remember stepping foot in the parking lot, and it was like, all right, I'm back to the real world now. But yeah, only in South Florida can you do stuff like that.
So then, the last story after yours. They invite Greg, after the story that you told, they invite Greg back to host this, off-air, I think it was a lingerie or a bikini, I don't know what the fuck it was. So he's going, his fiance is going. At the time, he was still not drinking. He was on the wagon. But later on, with that whole Fez story that I told later, he was drinking again.
Oh.
Anyway, because that was right before he got fired, which was later on. And then David's going. And David's like, listen, you want to come? Because, help me out because I got to bring all this stuff, blah, 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 whatever. Anyway, so Greg doesn't drink. David's not drinking because they got to actually get up and do a show in the morning. I don't care. I bring a 6-pack. Set it behind the thing. Frankie recognizes me. Hey, man. Hey, takes my thing, treats me like royalty, and I'm nobody. Greg's fiance is so nervous. She's like, Wayne, can I have one of your beers? Yeah, sure, sweetie, have one. Yeah, sure. 2 minutes later, can I have another one? You already drank that? Well, she was nervous. She ended up drinking 3 of them. So immediately my shit was gone. So a little while later, Frankie comes up to me and goes, Wayne, you were drinking, right? I go, yeah. And he goes, so what were you drinking? What's going on? Like, oh, it's all gone. Well, you guys are going to be here a while. You need more? I'm like, nah, I think I'm all right. No, do you want more? Sure. Does this. Some dude comes over. He pulls out a 20, gives it. Frankie pulls out a 20, gives this dude, goes, what were you drinking? Miller Lite. Go get a 12-pack of Miller Lite across the street, please. Put it under Wayne, Rob, blah, 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 the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm nobody. Yeah. But he remembered because I was there a couple times and I didn't do anything. I didn't fuck around and do all the shit. And I came in and, I played by the rules. Nothing, I never did any, I was there 3 times and never did anything. Anyway, to finish the story, so now I got more beer, so now we're really having a party. So she wants even more of that. So now there's a 12-pack, so she has a few more. She ends up from nervous, little Nellie, never been in one of these places. She ends up on the bar in the next room with a dance floor and everything, on the bar with another woman who was a big fan of Grego, and their couple, they were the one, takes her shirt up. She's doing this, and when she sees me, she goes, does this. I look at David and go, what the fuck, man? What? There's 150 people here. Yeah. Everybody, she sees me, goes, what the fuck is that about? And I look, Greg, what's that? I don't know. She's drunk.
You know what? I remember vaguely now hearing this story.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. I think her name was...
So funny.
I forgot her first name, but I think, she drank a little too much.
No need to say it, but even if we do remember it, no need to say it. But she had But yeah, for a second there, I was like, wait, have my memories blurred to where Tracy was there that night? Yeah. Oh, no, that's right. He did a thing, and then they had him back.
I think I was there for the initial live broadcast.
Yeah?
It was, again, crazy times.
I think that was the first one because they kept trying to get a host from IOD to do it, and Aaron would never do it, and then they tried somebody else, I think. I think they tried Ron and Ron. I mean, they tried us for a bit, and fuck you. Because we already had strip club thing on Friday night. Every Friday show, not Friday night, Friday mornings. We had a thing with, I think it was Pure Platinum. Pure Platinum.
Pure Platinum. There you go. Bingo. If we were playing Miami Strip Club Bingo, I think you just won. But
I still, 2 hours and 6 minutes later, I still can't remember the fucking roast battle judge.
Yeah, from the Comedy Store, right?
Yes. Oh.
Was he Asian?
No. He's the guy. He does a character that he mother bitches. He would always give them 2 towers down if they were bad, because he was he played not the Sheik, not Iron. Oh man. I can't believe I can't remember. I was sitting my last pee before I hit to go record. I went to pee, and I said, "That's right. We're going to start with blah 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 with what is up, mother bitches?" Because that's how he would always say when they would go to the judge. When Jeff Ross would throw it to him.
Yeah. It'll come to you at the most inopportune time.
Yeah, after we hit stop.
Of course.
Oh my God. So funny. He wears this wig thing. Yeah. What is up, mother bitches? Yeah. 2 towers down. He was so fucking funny. Yeah, the roast battles were great. Oh yeah, Comedy Store. You did ask about the Comedy Store. You know that I did a podcast with Sam Tripoli for a bit.
I think I did. Yeah, I knew you were prior to that scene.
He called it Conspiracies Now instead of Democracy Now.
Right.
And it was this is the coolest thing. Because of the boom of comedy and on the podcast thing, the downstairs at the store, this downstairs thing was like a storage thing where people would go down and fuck. They'd go down and do drugs. This was not a place where they used it for anything much except for storage and go to do illicit shit. They ended up turning this space downstairs right under the original room into a podcast studio. There's one room that's just for audio podcast. You'll see the Comedy Store podcast with Eleanor Kerrigan and Rick. You'll see when you look it up if you do. Right. I can't say his name. It's been a while, so I can't remember his name. They do that. That's video as well, so you can see the inside of that. But right next to that room is like it was. I don't know if it is now anymore, but it was like a control room for the big room, which they had a green screen, and they would do shows there where like Sam would do Conspiracies Now, and it was green screen. And from in that room, comedian Brett Erickson was the engineer. And he could pull up stuff and put it on the green screen, and I'd be in there with him. Oh, pull up this because they're talking about that or whatever. Because I was like his Ed McMahon.
Right.
I would do the open. And now, Conspiracies Now with Sam Tripoli. And this whole thing. That's how I met fucking Tim Dillon. Dude, I saw Brody Stevens before he fucking killed himself. He was a guest on our show day and a half, 24 hours before he killed himself.
Did you ever meet Mitzi Shore?
I never met Mitzi. No, but I would say I kind of did because I'm friends with Jimmy Schubert, who used to bang her. So,
yeah,
Jimmy Schubert from Ron and Ron. That's how I know Jimmy was when he was on the Ron and Ron show because he used to do the Ronnie's the Outlaws of Comedy, or whatever. No, that was the Hicks thing. It was and the Kinnison stuff. Anyway, yeah, Shuby would, yeah, for a while he lived in Florida and L.A. I helped him move from Pompano down to Hollywood when he was back in Florida for a while, because he had one of those TV deals in the '90s. All the comedians would get if they were good enough and stuff, and they would get a deal, and they would get a production deal. All this money, and then they would try to develop a sitcom for you. Well, fucking Jimmy had a bunch that they would do. So you're getting a check for nothing, basically. Well, not for nothing, but they're developing something.
Yeah.
And then doing his stand-up, but he would, he'd come back for for a month or a few weeks or so to come back to Florida and and he'd be on Run Around. That's how I got to know him. And then I hung out with him in L.A. as well.
Awesome.
Dude, do you know the story about Sam Kinison doing a set at the store back in the 80s, and then a dude drove his motorcycle onto the stage and picked Sam up, and they drove off and drove through the store and then down fucking Sunset?
No.
That was Jimmy on the bike.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a fucking great story. And Kinison did it. He wanted to do it, and he was like, oh, cool. But then as Jimmy's barreling down the fucking side, Sam's screaming because he was scared shitless. They didn't go very far. But yeah, Schubert. Awesome. There was last night, my buddy Todd, he's a drummer in a cover band. So I went to hang out last night, and his guitar player, I was hanging with him, and they kept saying his name because his name is Larry, and that's my dad's name. So that always, I hear Larry, and I always, your head, you hear your dad's name. It doesn't matter who it is, your head peaks. And and then I kept thinking, Schubert had this bit where the fish, you walk into a restaurant, look at those fish, a Japanese restaurant where you got to eat those fuckers, and they're sitting there first just looking. Oh my God, new people just came in, Larry. New people. Oh my God, we might not be here anymore, Larry. Larry! Larry! It's been in my head forever because I've seen Jimmy do it 1,000 times. So last night during the show, I'm back at the bar while they're on, and then Todd's blabbling. Larry on the guitar, Larry, blah, blah, blah. And he said Larry so many times, and all of a sudden I was going, Larry! And all these people turn around going, they start laughing. They don't know what the fuck I'm doing because I'm just doing this, Larry!
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, stupid story.
Now you could as a comedian, you could do a nice callback and bring up a Kevin Pollak reference right now.
Oh yeah.
Lieutenant
Weinberg.
Yeah, Lieutenant Weinberg. Kevin Pollak, he says in an interview that it kind of freaked him out.
I have no responsibility here whatsoever.
Yeah. Kevin Pollak said in an interview, he says it quite a few times, that Jack Nicholson kind of freaked him out, because I don't know if the Lieutenant Weinberg thing was in the script, but like when he's actually like naming his character.
I heard that. Yeah.
During his monologue,
I think
who's gonna do it? You, Lieutenant Weinberg. And like Kevin Pollak's like he's just like pissing his pants at that time, even though it's obviously a scripted scene. But he's awesome, Kevin Pollak, and good actor, good impressionist, and very funny guy.
I wonder, because with Phil Hendrie, he owns all his stuff, so you have to be a member of his. I know Wiley, my friend Wiley, is a member of the Phil thing. I should ask him to go back to see if there's that audio of me and Phil doing that fucking scene.
That'd be awesome.
Men.
Yeah,
it's got to be on the Phil Hendrie website because he owns everything, as far as I know, all the way back to '93.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's got to be some like YouTube fan sites where some of his stuff has been aggregated over the years. Probably. I know Neil. There's a site where you can actually like. I think it's in chronological order.
I've helped them out with a few things where he's tweeted or posted some stuff and posted the wrong year or date or whatever, and if it's mid '90s, I kind of know it. So and a lot of people aren't really some people are gone or whatever. They're not really paying attention. Of course, George is gone. So I've hit him up a few times. Actually, he shared my podcast, one of my Kimba podcasts, because I had messaged him on the Neil Twitter. He runs a few Twitters, so he doesn't check the messages thing. And it was like a few months later, all of a sudden he's posting it, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And at the time, I was suspended from Twitter, so I couldn't do anything. I couldn't share what he was sharing. I couldn't do anything because I'm just watching him going, oh well, we finally, and then I see and I couldn't reply to the message that he sent me saying, hey man, thanks for this. This is great. Love Kimba. I'm sorry, I'm just seeing this. I don't normally check these messages. Always, if you're gonna message me again, hit me over on this one. Oh, okay, but I couldn't fucking respond because I was suspended.
Right, catch 22.
And I couldn't retweet what he was doing because I was suspended. I couldn't do anything. Just watching this, going, "Fuck, man." It was cool though. But yeah, I've corrected him on some. I've told him, oh no, actually, that's not 94. We didn't. Our logo wasn't that yet.
Right.
Kind of stuff, whatever. Which
Yeah, I'll have to go back and listen because earlier in this show I referenced the memo about people surpassing their tab at Dave and Buster's. I'm sure that bit lives somewhere, and I'd love to hear it again. That was my introduction to the invasion of privacy known as the Neil Rogers Show.
Oh my God! I wish we kind of washed over that. That is so fucking great.
Well, we went on a 15-minute Stephen J. Gray love fest after we.
Oh, yeah, it was a love fest. Yeah. I have to correct you. I think it was 16 and a half. But go ahead.
But yeah, you know what? The Neil Rogers Show, when I try to explain to people who have never heard him, there'll never be anyone like him. The guy, he was so polished, never stuttered. He was so smart. Yet when you met him off the air, he was a totally different guy.
Oh, so quiet.
So quiet.
Yeah,
and
And
you know what? For the most part, nice. You know, I mean, I
super
never
nice.
Yeah,
Super nice. Oh, dude. Did I ever tell you? I don't know. I probably told you a long time ago, but you probably don't remember. My introduction to Neil. Do you know that? Do you remember? My introduction to Neil. I'm a painter. I'm not in radio school yet. I only know Neil Rogers from the newspaper, and to me, the way the newspaper wrote about him, he was just another Rush Limbaugh, but a local one. I'm like, I don't want to fucking. And I did AM radio. I'm a 22-year-old douchebag. I don't listen to AM radio. I listen to fucking metal. And I thought all AM radio was boring crap that I didn't want to hear. Like the shit that I listen to now. But it's on podcasts now. I don't listen to radio. Fuck radio. I hate radio. Anyway, so that's all I know of Neil Rogers at this moment. What I do know from when I was a painter, my original boss when I first started painting was a buddy of my dad's. We listen to fucking Magic every day. Every morning we listen to Magic. So, hi, this is Sonny Fox. That was Sonny Fox all the time. Sonny Fox, Magic 102.7. Sonny and Ron. Hey. So I already knew Sonny Fox, the whole thing, right? But I didn't know WIOD. Now I'm in a different company. My boss folded his company, and I moved. And he wrote me a great letter for a bunch of things. I've got hired much more money at these other places. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'll do this. I'm in this. We're doing a small development, and I'm in this house. It's almost done. It's just got a few touch-ups. So there's like fucking little orange stickers all over the place. I'm going to touch them. The only people in this house are me and the plumber. Well, me first, and then the plumber pulls up to the back, opens up the sliding glass door, and his van is blaring, and I'm hearing commercials. And then all of a sudden I hear this, but I hear this, 610 WIOD, and you hear in the background, you hear a puppy whimpering. It's simple. You keep listening, and you hear the shotgun go, or the puppy gets it. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I hear this, hi, this is Sonny Fox. I listen to Neil Rogers because I can hear the word asshole. I went, what the fuck is that? And then, and at this time, I'm a huge Ron and Ron fan. Right. This, of course, before I'm working for him, which was, the Forrest Gump, another Forrest Gump moment of mine. Fucking end up working for him a few years later. What? I'm a huge fan of theirs. So right after the hi, this is Sonny Fox. I listen to Neil Rogers because I can hear the asshole. A Guitar Man fucking parody song trashing Ron and Ron. Ron and Ron, they just aren't that funny. And something tells me they took lessons from Sonny. Ron and Ron, boy, they blow. Ron and Ron. I'm like, fuck this motherfucker. I'm pissed. I'm like, fuck this Neil Rogers shit. This is, of course, before I meet my buddy who in radio school turns me on to them. I'm like, oh, he's more, there's a lot of it's dry. Okay, cool. That was my introduction to the fucking WIOD, and then a year and a half later, I'm one of the fucking One of the board ups. Oh, ever tell you this story? Let's go back to the picture because we didn't mention him. He was the only one we didn't mention. All right.
Oh, Adam Kirshner.
That's right. Right in the one with the shades.
That's
the
right.
douchebag with the shades. I think that's actually what I'm making fun of. I'm making fun of Adam. Anyway, no, Adam was a fucking great producer. He does his shit well. But yeah, he has a thing where, people, might have a problem with him, and he's fine with it. Anyway, so in radio school, as I'm becoming a big WIOD fan with my, because of my friend in the school, we used to get these R&R, Radio and Records magazines.
I remember
that.
Yeah.
And you so you remember the back page where there were things where people looking for jobs?
Jobs, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm a fan of IOD. Randy Rhoads is gone, so now Chris Baker has taken over the nights. And Neil just trashes him constantly. And I try to listen to Chris. And I'm like, man, this guy's supposed to be a stand-up comic. I don't get it. Maybe he was funny. If I was to get the audio of the Baker show back then in '94, I might like it actually. I don't know. But at the time, I didn't get it. But I'm just going along with Neil, just trashing it, and because I did try to listen, and my buddy was like, this does suck. Anyway, one day get the newest R&R, and in the back it says, local comedian doing nights. What does it say? Local comedian currently doing nights on major Miami talker seeks new gig.
What?
So I show this to my bud. I'm like, dude, this is Baker, right? Oh, yeah, it's got to be. So I go, what do you think? And at the school, this is while I'm still in school. I go, dude, should we call Neil about this? Yeah, do it. So he dared me into doing it, so I'm the fucking douchebag. Yeah, I'll go do it. I go into the little newsroom that we had at the school, and I fucking call. I didn't wait. George, where are you calling from? Miami Lakes. Oh, put you right. There was no screening. You just
610 WID. Where are you calling from?
Where are you calling from? That's it. No screening whatsoever.
Yeah, never asked what you wanted to talk about.
Completely opposite of Phil. Where Phil, you had to find the people who didn't know what was going on. Which when he was national, that was really hard when it premiered. Anyway, where was I? So
you basically called the Neil Rogers show to rat out this guy.
So I'm like, okay, so turn your radio on in your office because he was part of the news thing, people that wanted to do news at the school. So, he had his own little news office thing. Like, turn your radio. All right, I'm going to go in there. So I go, hello. So when he goes to me, it was so fucking great because my buddy would always do it. He'd always do he would always call it back because he was listening and he recorded it too. Miami Lakes, hello. Like, hello, Neil? That's what that was his reply. I was like, yeah, I was looking through the R&R, and I saw an ad. I see this ad at the back page there, looking for jobs or whatever, and it says, local community. And I say what I say. He's like, really? Oh my God! Wow! And he just started trying. Listen, man. Listen. This is what they turned this. They don't care what happens from 8 p.m. until 6 a.m. They don't give a shit they don't care what happens. Oh, 5. Sorry, Tom. Little Tom Hopkins thing because Tom's show was from 5 to 6.
Right.
They don't care. They could just turn the station off. They don't really care. It was so funny. Blah, blah, blah. And he went on. I'm like, holy shit, we did it. So then my buddy goes, oh, now you got to call Baker tonight or the next night. Something like that. So then I call Baker on the air, right? So Adam is his producer. Sunglasses here is his producer, which I didn't know him at the time. This is all previous to this picture, of course. Anyway, I call him up and go, hey, man, yeah, I got the R&R, and I see this. Is this you? And like, no, man, you're a liar. And then he tells Adam, go get the newest R&R. We got the newest R&R. Adam gets on the air, and he's like, No, I don't see anything, man. This guy's lying or whatever. No, man, I have it. I can, I can take a picture. I can send it to. I got it, man. No, this is the one. And then we're going to date. No, I have it. This one. You're a liar. You're a liar, and you're a loser. He's calling me all these names. I'm like, whatever, man. I got it. It's right here in my hand, dude. Whatever, just whatever. And I swore to myself when I didn't know I was gonna get a gig there. Fucking 6 months, 4 months later, or whatever it was. So. And then I'm there for, I think I'd been there maybe about a year and a half or so, 2 years. So I'd got, Adam and I had gotten close, and I'd become the backup producer for Rick and Suds. When he did Payphone Challenge, I was the engineer. And then I started the whole thing about Suds being my dad, which some people fell for. Anyway, that whole thing. And then at one point, I don't know, we must have been drinking. It might have been at the Billabong, or it was a party or whatever. And I know, maybe too much alcohol. And I went, hey, Adam, remember that whole thing when you were producer for Chris Baker, and that guy called up about the whole thing with the ad and the Arno? Yeah, man, that was me. What the fuck, dude? What the fuck? He starts freaking out, and I go, oh, wait, you got to answer me one question. When you went on the air saying, no, the one I got the newest one, and there's nothing in here, were you lying? Yes, I was lying. I went, thank you. That's all I wanted to hear.
You were lying. Oh, my God. What a plot twist.
I was like, that's all I wanted to hear, dude. Yeah, of course I was lying. I was trying to protect my host.
That, Wayne, is a great story. Great story. And the sound of 2 barking dogs in the background means I do have to run because I don't know how
we're
long.
done?
How long have we been on here for?
2:26.
Hours?
2 hours and 26 minutes.
Holy mackerel.
And you've made me do too much talking, you prick.
Wow. Well, listen, no, it's been a great catching up with you. Some of these stories are classic. That one was hilarious about Chris Baker, but it was good catching up, and I hope we can do it again. I sound like I'm saying farewell to you as a guest.
I know, it's funny. It's like it's almost like it's your show.
Hey, Wayne, come back and join us. Wayne, I hope you come back and join us anytime.
Oh, you mean? What happened? Where'd it go? What happened? Sorry.
Oh, there it is. All right.
Damn it! I blew it because I didn't have it set to where to bring it back all the way to the front, because it's not like those 360s like Neil used to use, and I'm trying to stretch, because I like to have all my podcasts either right at the top of the hour, at the hour,
so
or right at the half
here?
hour. So I'm trying to stretch this all the way to 2:30.
But
we don't have to. I'm kidding, actually. I'm kidding. I was just trying to stick with the radio thing.
Like a good consultant, you want to stick to a formula.
Oh, don't you dare compare me to Walter Sabo.
I didn't say it. I didn't say his name. But no, it's good catching up. And anytime you want to talk 1990s South Florida radio, let's do it again. I had a lot of fun reminiscing, going down memory lane, talking swingers clubs and commercials for Lycos and the Comedy Store and all that.
But we didn't talk enough about you.
Oh no, we talked enough about me. But
no, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Yeah, we talked about my tendency to remove my shirt at any moment.
Do it now. Do a Bert Kreischer right now.
Things are a little different now. Let's just say when you get to the point I am where when you need to find that extra hole on the belt buckle, then you know you're in trouble.
Do you have bitch tits?
I wouldn't go that far, but let's just say things are a little different than when I was in my late 20s running around South Beach like I owned a place.
Really fucking hate that picture did that, and it didn't. I couldn't get it to where you can actually see it. No. Dude, this dude was ripped. I mean, seriously, he would take it. It was the opposite of when Bert Kreischer takes his fucking shirt off. You know, that flab just starts falling out.
Another good comedian.
Tracy, because Tracy would walk around, Mr. fucking, all just kind of like a Bruce. It was basically, dude, you were the real Batman. They called me Batman just because my name's Wayne. You were the real Batman because you walked around all Mr. This, but then took your fucking shirt off. Was like, dude, is that guy in MMA? What the fuck, man? What the hell is that? Yeah. You were the Batman. You were the real Batman.
Yeah,
that's true. That's fucking true, dude. Because I'm pretty sure if I don't never want to tussle with you, because I never had a reason, but I'm pretty sure you'd kick my ass.
No arguments here in terms of how fun it was back then to be able commit yourself to that lifestyle, but it's tough to do it now when you're our ages. So.
Absolutely.
Oh,
so,
I hear a drop
right.
coming. Oh no, this is your this is your
my
close, right? Bye,
Watch
everybody.
the Corbett Report.
Bye.
Yeah, no, you're going to have a couple of seconds. Watch the Corbett Report. Jimmy Dore Show, Russell Brand, Kim Iverson, Jackson Inklebutt. Look for you, someone just on my big extra dabbler. Remember all Neo, a.k.a. One. Sorry, ran long, had to bump comedian Kurt Metzger. Thanks, Gary. Daddy loves you. Messing with my peebles. Tracy, you're a fucking stud.
Listen, pleasure was all mine, Wayne. Please keep